Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids.
Well, hospital porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this, the 103rd reply to comments video. This is the video in which I, as the title really gives away, reply to your comments. Sorry for the spoilers. The reason I make these videos is manyfold. Firstly, I don't have time to reply by text to all the comments I get because I'm a popular channel. Despite my shadow banning, I still have a large contingent of loyal supporters and listeners and what viewers who keep putting text messages and text comments underneath all the videos. Some of these are long, they're well thought out. Some of them are very, very kind and very, very generous. I feel obliged to give you a reply, not just to ignore them. But I don't have time to do it by text. Otherwise, I'd spend about 2 hours a day doing nothing but replying to comments. Now, some of you may think, well, I don't. What's the point of this? What's the point of making a video saying you're replying to my comments? You've got a 9-hour video there. I make a little comment. I'm waiting for you to reply to it. I'm going to sit for a 9-hour video waiting for you to reply to this comment I left here on a certain video at a certain time. Well, that's not really a problem because you see, underneath the comment I'm replying to, I'll put a little notice telling you exactly when, within the nearest hour, I'll be replying to your comments. So the longest you'll have to wait for it is 1 hour. It's not too bad. Put it on the background while you're making dinner. And I said listeners earlier on because I know some people just they rip the audio of some of my videos and just listen to them because some of them are like this one can really be viewed as an illustrated audio show in a way. Second reason is that my reply to comments videos are not 9 hours long anymore. They used to be. I think I made one that was like 10 hours, 20 minutes. I think that's a record. I split it into 2 halves, I think, if I remember rightly. I wouldn't upload a single video that long. But you don't have to watch a 9-hour video because my reply to comments videos these days are a lot shorter because I do them more often. And of course, my shadow banning has reduced the number of comments I'm getting quite a bit. Also, a couple of regular commenters have stopped commenting. So a few people would stop. People like Steve Mumbling would post a few comments which were very complicated. It took a lot of time to reply to. I enjoyed replying to them, but it took a long time. It would use up a lot of video time. David Smith was another. Another reason I do these reply to comments videos is I enjoy doing them. Simple as that. I think they're very, very good. Some of them are some of my favorite videos. Also, a lot of you, the viewers, enjoy watching them. I know some of you will watch them all the way through, regardless of comments or not. And, another reason I make these comments is something that actually came up on one of Stefan Molyneux's videos the other day. Now, I've gone off Stefan Molyneux a bit in the last couple of months. He's gone downhill. He's got rather tetchy and bitter. He keeps slagging off his own subscribers and people like that. So he's not getting any more donations from me because he's been a bit of a bitch actually. If you join him, if you're on locals, right? If he encourages people to subscribe to him, give him like a regular donation, so much every month. And you can join his locals community where you get to comment on the videos as they're live and things like that. But when he's doing it, he started being really nasty. I think nasty and overly critical and lacking in appreciation for his commenters. He says things like he criticizes them if they get spelling wrong or they slip up on the grammar or something like that. He says, why can't you read them through before you post them and things like that? Or someone will send him like £10 and he'll go, you want £10 and you want me to tell you your life story and things like that. So he's going to lose. He's going to lose subscribers at this rate. But anyway, the point I made here is he said the point I'm bringing this up. The reason I'm bringing this up, this point, is that one of his recent videos he mentions the worst thing about losing his YouTube channel was not the loss of videos because the videos are all backed up on alt tech on other platforms. The worst thing about losing his YouTube channel was he lost all the comments underneath it. Because he said the comments underneath, they're not just like people saying things. They're a precious philosophical dialogue that may go down in history. So he lost all those comments. Well, that won't happen to me because all the comments I don't skip comments when I do this. I say, well, I only go for the interesting ones. I read all my comments in the period since the last reply to comments video. And I give replies to them. And so even if my YouTube channel does disappear, which is a possibility, it's the comments will be preserved in these videos. So that's another reason to do the reply to comments videos. Anyway, let's get on to your comments. Let's get down to it, as David Icke says. Let's get down to it, shall we? So the last comment that was left after the last rip video I did was over a month ago. I have actually left this a bit longer than usual, but on Ben in the Desert, part 1 of 3, Red Snapper, who I've been having some very amusing dialogues with on Twitter, says here the 51:35 mark and Collins starting as they mean to go on the booze. Oh right, yes, that was. Ben in the Desert part 1 of 3. Yes, that was when we were at the airport. I mean, that was on the airport in England before we were heading for the US to go to the conference. We found a Wetherspoons in the terminal, and so we popped straight in there and get on the beer. Not too much. I mean, they won't let you on the bleeding plane if you don't, but they won't let you on there. But I thought, well, starts I mean to go on, as the saying goes. Red Snapper 123 says on the same video, why would hang on, I've replied to those. Sorry, guys, I'm sorry, Red Snapper. I'm just repeating myself there because I've already given you replies to those. Hugo Rune. Oh, here we are. Hugo Rune on. Here we go. Reply to comments 102 YouTube. Because I'm going to. You may have noticed in the last reply to comments video. In fact, you must have noticed that I've started a new practice, which is to do separate videos for YouTube and alt tech. So there's two comments reply videos now. One for YouTube, one for alt tech. Of course, the YouTube one will be on YouTube and alt tech. So I'm not saying I'm only putting the alt tech one on alt tech and the YouTube one only on YouTube. No. YouTube will only get the YouTube one. Alt tech will get both. But the reason for that is because, well, alt tech's getting a little bit spicy lately. So really not something I can really put on YouTube without filling it with code words and other nonsense. But Hugo Rune says, I'm looking forward to this, Ben. Thank you. You're very welcome, Hugo. I'm coming to see you soon. We've actually set a date, haven't we? Or at least a month. So I'm not going to put it off anymore. Michael Snow says on a reply to comments 102 YouTube. Second. Thanks very much, Michael. And Teddy Bearlearn says on the same video, hi, Ben. Hi, Teddy. How you doing? Timothy Jeffers says, all right. Now, this is where it gets amusing. I blocked Timothy Jeffers. Just let me tell you that. I did. Let's have a look. Is he right? Right, his channel. I can show you his channel. This is very typical, actually. This channel doesn't have any content. And we have a completely blank channel. There's no subscription. Joined just a couple of months ago. Just a name, really. He's got no uploads, no subs, no faves, no channel artwork, nothing. Because Timothy Jeffers, whoever he or she, I think it's a he. In fact, I know it's a he. His name's Julian. Julian has joined this particular channel simply to comment on my videos because he's used other channels before, which I have blocked, and I have already. I tried to block this one, but let's see if it's worked. Hide user from my channel. You see, I did that before and it hasn't worked. All right. Well, anyway, I'll sort that out later. I'll sort that out later because I did actually block him. I'll try again later. But anyway, he says here, I've already read your blogs. How did you find out NHS management tried to persuade the mother to make a complaint? Without seeing an unedited version of the Porter's video, I find it difficult to accept that you didn't reject the mother's request and leave the video on the internet to prove you were having fun and to show everyone NHS management were disgusting with the accusation of bullying a fellow colleague. I don't accept you need to ask permission to upload the video on the internet to prove your innocence by showing you're having fun in the video, as well as when you found out management were trying to persuade the mother to make a complaint. All right. I actually removed the video when I found out the mother was making a complaint. I'm only replying to you, Timothy. Because to prevent people like you making hay with this later. If I just refuse to answer these comments, these are the last comments I'm actually ever going to answer from you, at least on this account. And so So we'll go for it. I actually removed that. The mother approached me about 2 or 3 days before I was actually suspended. She'd got wind of what was happening because she'd been interviewed as they were building this case against me. And she asked me, without telling why, could you please remove that video because, you know, it's not good for Lee and stuff like that. And I did that. I did that for her. Now I don't know. I don't even know if I've still got a copy of it. It may be somewhere on one of my backup drives or something like that. I don't know. Not all my videos are on my hard drive here. There's not enough room for them. Some of them are on like discs, and I've got 2 backup drives as well, so it may be somewhere on there. But I can't consider this kind of. I consider this. I can describe the video to you. It's just me and Lee, this other porter. We're just having a laugh, and we're just sitting in the lodge joking about things. A lot of them are portering in jokes. Like he mentions the phrase ODO, and you'd have to read the HPWA blog to get that. But it's obvious I'm not abusing him. But they twisted it into as I was, right. And now we have a whole thread, which I'm going to read for the same reason. Here we are. Timothy says, it's disgraceful for NHS management to accuse you of bullying a fellow colleague while filming. This does not portray you as your role model. For hospital porters would understandably be a reason to sack you. Oh, Timothy, you are most thoughtful. Like hell. So I politely request you upload the porters videos to get rid of any uncertainty over this disgusting accusation by NHS management. Right, request denied. I've explained why. David Splendid Isolation says, you're not at all naive, are you? Timothy says, despite what has been said by Ben, I request one last. Okay, I'm not going to upload it. And David says, you're not his inquisition or his judge. He's not answerable to you. So cope harder. Exactly. Thank you, David. Timothy says, yes, of course I'm not his judge. I'm interested to find out if Ben, as a grown-up adult, bullied and happy slapped a fellow colleague while filming it. He doesn't have to upload the porter's video, but it would influence my suspicion. Right. I don't care about your suspicion, Julian. Well, you don't have suspicion. You just want to attack me like you have been for... Unbelievably. It's unbelievable that you've been trolling me for as long as you have. It must be over... Is it really over 20 years that you've been obsessed with me? You and your team, your little posse, your team Droik, little, what do I call you? A gaggle of piglets? Are you seriously telling me that you have been trolling me for over 20 years? That's got to be a record. Literally since I met you on the Dark Conspiracy Forum, and you've been after me ever since. You'd followed me onto the original David Icke Forum, then the official David Icke Forum, and then I started HPANWO, and you kept trying to join the HPANWO Forum. What? Why, Julian? What have I ever done wrong to deserve this? I've met you a few times, and at meetups, and you've been, we got on all right. Why are you doing this to me? So I don't care about your suspicion. I've described the video to you. The man involved, a porter, he's a chap. He's a chap. He's a few years younger than me, and he's friendly and likable. He suffers from a minor learning difficulty, which means this is why they said it should be happy slapping him. We used to get on all right. We were very fond of each other. We were good friends, and last time I saw him, we got on very well. So that says it all, really, doesn't it? David says, which is completely irrelevant. Timothy says, irrelevant for you, not irrelevant for me. As I said, Timothy, Julian, I don't care. And David says, hence why it's actually irrelevant to anyone except yourself, which is irrelevant. And Timothy says, you can speak for yourself, but not for everyone else who may find Ben uploading the porter's video as relevant in order to determine whether he bullied a fellow colleague while filming it. Look, you've already made up your mind. You and Team Droik over and over again have said to me that you have persecuted me over this, accusing me, and joining in the accusations, just like Sasha Christie did. So forget it. And Rhiannon Raven says here, what you need to take into account is that any situation, action, or behavior can be taken out of context, sometimes with strategic intent as part of some hidden agenda, or entirely innocently as a misunderstanding. It's the former in this case, Rhiannon, as you know. I would like to think that we are all intelligent and worldly wise enough to understand that an establishment such as the NHS would not want any of their employees publicly disturbing anti-establishment ideas, distributing anti-establishment ideas, such as Ben has always done. We live in an age where public service agencies such as the police, health, education, social care, etc., are very much preoccupied with covering their own derrieres as well as that of their particular agency. Anyone who fails to comply with the feminist global agenda is viewed with exceptional suspicion, and a way will be found to get them out if they don't shut up and quietly count their carbon footprints. Well, you are witty, Rhiannon. Combine this with the malicious meddlings of someone who has a personal grudge against anyone who fails to comply with the establishment views, and you have a perfect storm in which what may be an innocent situation can be twisted to look like something it is not, but which provides a good excuse to get rid of the offending employee. The idea that Ben is some kind of bully is ridiculous. If anything, he needs to stand up for himself much more. You always say that, yes. Had we numerous examples of Ben threatening us for our dinner money or beating up adversaries behind the bike sheds, there may be some validity to your suggestion. However, the idea is so ridiculous because everything we know about Ben from thousands of hours of radio and video discussions does not support this at all. I would personally argue that continuing to taunt him that he needs to somehow prove his innocence by uploading the video so that you can judge his intentions is more akin to bullying. It's certainly reminiscent of the mean girl, nasty strategies of undermining the reputation of a perceived enemy with false allegations of sexual or behavioural conduct, which has hijacked our public services. Do you happen to work for the government, Tim? Well, thanks, Rhiannon. Thank you very much. I think I've read enough, really, because Timothy replies to Rhiannon. Should I read this out? It's like a 5. All right. I appreciate the NHS could have used this disgusting accusation against Ben to get rid of him for exposing the globalist agenda, etc. I'm not trying to taunt or bully him. I think what you're trying to do is you are trying to taunt me. I wouldn't call it bullying, Timothy. You're trying to taunt me the way you always have done. You and your team, your little cult of people who do nothing else but go around the internet winding other people up. And I'm your favorite target and have been for more than 2 decades, unbelievably. I know you think that it's ridiculous, and I think it's possible Ben is a disgraced hospital porter for being a bully boy. So you think it's ridiculous that I think that. I don't think it's ridiculous to think this because I find it difficult to accept Ben didn't leave the video on the internet to prove to everyone NHS were a bunch of crooks with a disgusting accusation. I don't accept he needs permission to upload the porter's videos to expose the NHS as a bunch of crooks. Now, Timothy, I'm not uploading it for 2 reasons. Firstly, I don't even know if I still have it as a recording. And secondly, the man's mother specifically asked me not to. I mean, I know time's gone by now. A lot of time's gone by. In fact, it's 12 years. It's over 12 years, almost 13 years. But it's still, I don't know what I haven't seen this chap for a long time. I don't know what he's like mentally. I don't know what his current condition is mentally. That's another reason. And she specifically asked me. She didn't do it through management. She approached me independently after management had interviewed her. Or they didn't interview. I mean, from what I gather, the list was, they actually tried to sort of they said things like, well, didn't you find this disturbing as his mother and things like this, which is very, very leading question. It's a very, very leading and very, very sort of he's almost baiting her, I'm also finding, he carries on, I'm also finding it difficult to accept NHS management allowed Ben to find out they were a bunch of crooks for trying to get the mother to make a complaint. I also don't find it easy to accept that he might not have a copy of the porter's video. Okay, well, accept whatever you like, Timothy. And I say here, underneath, so Timothy Jeffers, or should I call you Julian? Yes, I know who you are. I provided all the information anybody would need to know anything necessary to assess this matter, both in my previous publications and this conversation. The fact that you are continuing to ask me about it after my very comprehensive response in this video suggests you're trying to drag this conversation round in circles to keep it going, because that's what you Team Droid trolls like to do. It's not like you ever do anything more original, like turn up at Watford. Yes, Julian, we will always have Watford, won't we? We will always have Watford. Please move on to a new subject. I'll only answer you once. Is that understood? Good. And Timothy, I don't know who Julian is. He always says that. I'm not trying to drag this on because I'm making one final request, and that's your third final request. The answer is no. And I'm not going to read the rest of that. And David actually says here, as you know, sometimes the best thing is to ignore self-important trolls like him completely. They're irrelevant and a waste of time. All right, thank you, David. And do you know what? I'm now going to just try to. You can witness another live blocking. Let's see. I'm not going to report him. I don't do that sort of thing. I'm not going to report the user. I'm just going to hide the user from my channel, which I think is the closest. I did try this before and it didn't work, so hopefully it'll work this time. There you go. You've witnessed a live blocking of a droid troll. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's go to the top of this very long thread and find the next one. Reply to comments 102. YouTube. Hugo Rune, 47 minutes in. Thanks, Ben. Please come and visit. Please help me. I've had enough of this hypocrisy. I'll do everything I can for you, mate. I'll film you and everything and about your situation with the plants. Yeah. Rick Horden says on reply to comments 102 YouTube. Electronic. That's every electronic. The word electronic with the syllables separated into separate words. God within the instrument. Oh right, I think that's a reference to the Bible, isn't it? El is God. Tron is Metatron or something. Maybe is that a word in another language? Ben in the Desert, part 2 of 2. Red Snapper says, good video. Thanks, mate. Thank you. I had wonderful fun. I had part 2 of 3. Sorry, part 2 of 3. I had a wonderful time filming it. I had a lovely time there. It was brilliant. Ben in the Desert, part 3 of 3. I had no idea you had a protest beard. Perhaps one of the stalls sells a razor. Oh, I didn't find any. The only place I really wanted to shave. The protest beard refers to the time when I grew up a beard to protest against Gillette when they brought out a very sexist advert. So which was, well, I've talked about it before, and so I thought, well, not only I'm not going to buy their products anymore, I'm going to grow a beard as a statement to say how much I'm against them. I asked at the hotel, and they said the nearest razor you can buy is up in this shop like a mile away, and I thought, am I really going to walk that in this weather? Because it was like 102 Fahrenheit. God knows what that is in centigrade. I'm not bloody walking in that weather. I mean, me as a pale-skinned Englishman used to sort of like freezing cold and rain, I would probably collapse, and maybe even my life might be endangered if I did that. So I decided not to. And I could have, and even then it would take me an hour or so to walk there and back. I'd have had to miss some of the conference. So no, I decided to just itch away, scratch away. Right, Ben in the Desert, part 3 of 3. Red Snapper says 1915, weird bloke, Bigfoot. Who's this? Hang on a sec. Let me just have a look. How do I access this video from here? Open in a new tab. Oh, come on. Open in a new tab. Oh, hang on. I have to go here. Hang on. Desert. There we go. I'm just looking it up now. That's in Ben in the Desert, part 3 of 3. And what was it again? What was the timestamp? 1915. Okay. Where is it?
It's Crystal Springs. You can sense, you can nearly know exactly how they felt.
Look at me sweating, man. I'm terrible.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Funny enough, I mean, I looked, just as an aside, I looked up the rainfall for this area. The rainfall levels, and you know how it is in Britain when you just get like just 1 week of hot sunshine and they want to bring out hosepipe bans. In Britain, where we have so much of an abundance of rain, it's unbelievable. This place, Indian Wells, California, USA, it receives less than 5 inches of rain per year. It is a desert, and it's called a desert for a reason. Less than 5 inches of rain per year. You can go for 18 months. There might be a big storm, maybe once every 18 months or something. Yeah. Their water management system is so good they can do this. And there's golf courses and things that are completely green. And there's trees growing. But there's climate change.
It's like I say, these things. It's almost like a worship of water. I'm trying to get all the really cool shirts. I like that guys as well. Bigfoot saw me. Yes.
Oh right. Oh yeah, him. Yeah. Where are we? I'll go back to screen. Yeah. That was a good T-shirt he had there. He's not weird shaped. He's a sort of like he was a nice chap actually. I liked him. He was a good guy. He was fun. He was fun to talk to, and he had this wonderful T-shirt. Yeah, some people. I mean, I had a lot. Yeah, the T-shirts people go to these conferences in, and the decorations and the shirts. It's always themed. Like me, I had my just the beginning UFO Jesus T-shirt. All right, so we have now another one from Red Snapper in the same video. 2104. I think the Philippines likes baseball. Don't know if any of their teams play in the World Series though. All right, let's have a look. 2104. Okay.
It's the thing. This makes a joke because, like, the baseball tournament's called the World Series, right? It's called World Series, but no one plays baseball except the Yanks, and so all the teams in the world.
That's all right. Yeah, I get you, Red Snapper. Yeah. There are people. It is played outside the United States, but not by very much. Not very much. But I know Philippines seems to have adopted a lot of American stuff. You know, I've known some Filipinos. Funny enough, it was quite amusing because I think that was the night when all the police cars were out there. There were 6 police cars outside the hotel, and I was am I going to get shot? I thought, and of course, why did I think that? Because I know that country through the TV screen, like most British people do. I know it through the movies and the TV screen, so it's quite understandable. If you're in America and you go outside a hotel and there's 6 police cars, you think, oh my god, I'm going to get shot. There's going to be a shootout. Okay, thanks, David. Thanks, Red Snapper. Much appreciated for those comments. David Spends in Isolation says on 102, to answer your question, Elohim simply means God or gods, depending on the verb structure and context. Fair enough, David. I can't speak Hebrew, so I don't know. Whereas Jehovah or Yahweh is the personal name of God as revealed to Moses. Its basis means I am. Both those words are used throughout the scriptures, both referring to the God of the creation. One literally means God, the other God's personal name. Right, I see. Well, I'll take your point on that because you're the biblical expert. Now I have the ASAP Seriously Strange 2024. Oh, this was a good one. I enjoyed this. Is a good conference. Quilly, CWLI1, Quilly1 says, it gives me an error message when I view your latest video now. Is that because you changed your video file format? And I replied in text. I'm sorry, I don't know why that is. So Quilly1, I hope you got that sorted out. David Smith. Oh my God, we've got the return of David Smith. How about that? Welcome back, David. Whenever I hear you say, skeptics will say, I instantly know as a skeptic that is not what I'd say, or any of the popular skeptics would say. This is another reason I'd like to see you call into the line sometime. The line, yes. Face the pigeon, man. Face the pigeon. A clear new discussion with actual popular online skeptics would hold you to account for your thinking and try to unravel your thought processes on these topics. All right, well, I'll reply to that paragraph. There's 3 paragraphs here. David, why I'm interested in hearing your point if I've made a mistake here. Because you may have different opinions here. Maybe you describe yourself as a skeptic, but you have different opinions to the sort of like textbook skeptics as the way we woo-woos see you. In which case I am maybe generalizing. In which case I would accept that. But can you give an example of something where I say a skeptic would say this and you would say something else? Could you give me an example of that? I'd be very interested to hear that because it would clarify that. And now, why only the line? This is Matt Dillahunty's show. I mentioned Matt Dillahunty in my latest video as well. Why that one only? I mean, is there no alternative to that? Is there no alternative to him? Was he the only one? I mean, because he's certainly not the only online atheist, is he? There's plenty of others. I mean, there's some very noisy characters who there's an array of these very noisy characters who say, well, I believe in no God, and here's 500 videos explaining why. I mean, I could call into that, but then I don't particularly like Matt Dillahunty as a person. I don't think he's very sympathetic. I don't like the way he speaks to his audience. And in fact, I could make similar criticism to him that I make to Stefan Molyneux. And Molyneux is someone I'm more on his side rationally. Maybe there's an alternative. You would think maybe Mick West. I mean, I think I'd find it easier to talk to Mick West than Matt Dillahunty. But I mean, why don't why don't you be my Matt Dillahunty and sort of like ask me these questions, and I'll do my best to respond to them? Because it seems, David, you're already doing that. I mean, you were until you did go away for a while, but now you're back. So you're kind of doing what Matt would do, aren't you? I mean, do you want me to just call into the line because he has a huge audience and you'd like to see me being pwned by a large circulation channel? Because you do realize that if I did that, I would also take the time to advertise my book and my website. I'd get those in. So maybe that's not such a good idea, eh? Have you ever heard of the Streisand effect? Okay, second paragraph. Someone can be skeptical about some things and not others. Someone announcing they now believe in something that previously they were skeptical of, unless they can show good evidence or reasons for why they now believe it, would, by definition, not be skeptical. So either they've uncovered some amazing evidence and are waiting to present it for study and investigation by others, or they lack that methodology for confirming their beliefs. Yeah, I see what you're saying here is they wouldn't be skeptical if they didn't have good reason for what they now believe in. I would say they wouldn't be skeptical because of what they believe in, regardless of the epistemology behind it. So, but basically, so if someone says to me, this is, I think, David, I have to say, probably our disagreement over this is simply terminology. When I say skeptic, I think I might mean something else to what you mean it, which is why you may disagree with when I say a skeptic says this and you don't. Well, you don't believe that. You see, if a skeptic came forward and said, I now believe in ghosts, and here's all the evidence I have put forward to say that ghosts are real. Now, believe it or not, this has actually happened. I have Chris French talking about the head of the New Zealand skeptics who sort of, he escaped he threw the glass of, he poured his glass of Kool-Aid on the ground and ran into the jungle. So I would say, well, that person is now no longer skeptical, regardless. I would say they would not be accepted by most of the skeptic community, regardless of what reason they showed. What you would say is that the skeptic community would be actually fine with that, so long as they have good evidence and they want to present it for study and investigation. So I think that's a somewhat naive view of the skeptic movement. I don't know how much time you've had. It's within the skeptosphere, not just being a skeptic in your own little personal space, but being within the skeptosphere. I don't think they would. And I explain my reason for that in my skeptic videos. The Sufon one, the most recent one, is the best. No, actually, go to the one I did for Dorset, because Dorset Earth Mysteries Group, because that was very good too. It's they would basically be, I said, it's the definition of skeptic is not one who apportions evidence, etc., etc. It's a person who has a certain worldview. You call them something else if you want. Give them a different name, but they are different. The two things are different. Third paragraph. To me, this sounds like someone who may never, have had a good understanding of skepticism to begin with. Because being skeptical is what stops us believing in things with a lack of or bad evidence if applied correctly. That's why the notion of someone being a complete skeptic who turned into a believer is a bit of a stretch, in my opinion. It's far more likely they were skeptical of some things but had holes in their thought process when it came to others. Right. Well, partly I've already explained why I don't agree with that. I mean, I do have a good understanding of skeptics and the skeptic movement, and I've just been to a whole weekend-long skeptic conference, and I've done that several times. Before a few days earlier, I went to the British Humanist, the Humanist UK Oxford branch inaugural meeting. So I mean, Chris French himself said, I mean, I think he would disagree with you on this, because he said, you know, people can be a complete skeptic and turn into a believer, like the head of the New Zealand Skeptic Society. He actually mentions this person by name. The fact of the matter is, David, both sides make converts from the other in this debate. Neil Sanders and Brent Lee are examples of people who were on my side and then crossed the aisles of the skeptosphere. This New Zealand guy is one of the opposite, and indeed there are others as well. I kind of had a feeling Michael Sherman might go that way, and he may still. Anyway, David, it's great to have you back. I hope you'll stick around. Dom Jolly's conspiracy show. Oh, this was good. This was this was a good one. Gemma Parnell says here, I watched his show tonight. He didn't have particularly good points, but it was funny and enjoyable. The Finland thing started as a satire thread on Reddit. I think people see the thread and believe other people believe that Finland isn't real. I was disappointed about the alter ego part of the show too. I wondered if I'd leave the show feeling like I'd realized that I'd been fooled by conspiracies, but I didn't. Well, Gemma, you know, I had a similar I think I had similar feelings when I went to the show. It was funny. I did find it funny. The person, his character, what was the name of the character? I can't remember, the bumbling old guy. I can't remember, but I did think I actually did enjoy that part. I think he's quite funny. The Finland, I think it was interesting that the Finland thing started as a conspiratorial satire, and that there are people who believe Finland isn't real, because I can't wonder if the flat Earth thing started that way. And there's several other examples. There's Slender Man, for example. There's people who believe Slender Man is real. It's not. It's fictional. I brought this up in my latest video. Oh, by the way, I should have added in that video the two girls who murdered their classmate. I personally doubt very much if those two girls would have been model young women if Slender Man had never existed. I think if you do something like that, it's maybe for several reasons. But yeah, I did enjoy the show. I did. It was quite funny. Gemma says here, Free Britney is not a conspiracy. Is it not? Because Gemma, if you haven't seen it, do watch my. It's actually, unfortunately, it's not on YouTube. You have to go to BitChute, Odyssey, or Rumble. But I did my Abby chart and my Abby Richards chart videos. I've done 2 of them because I bring up the Free Britney thing there. Right, notice of alt tech exclusive. BB loves HS2. Jeff Sperry says, safe, as the kids say, Ben. I think that he's saying to me. Oh, thanks, Jeff. Right, Dr. Hildegard Langstrom. I am quite mad. That's a Red Dwarf reference, in case you don't know. Maggie Steed's character in there is very good. Says Zoella is very upset about you blocking her. Well, Julian, should be used to that by now because I've just blocked him again. Or it was either him or one of his mates from the Team Droik. Dr. Hildegard Langstrom says on Charles. Oh, this is one of my comedy videos. What happened to Bill Ryan? Well, I think he's still going, isn't he? Let's have a look. Is this Project Avalon still a thing? Let's have a look. Project Avalon. Oh, it's an episode of Blake 7. I can't see it now. Government Project Avalon Limited gov.uk. I'll put here Bill Ryan. Oh, Avalon Project Avalon.net. Here we go. Bill Ryan. Bill Ryan. What's he doing these days? There's a bio here for him. Well, here's his website. I'll show you his website. It's here. What's new? So Avalon. This is his blog. Welcome to Project Avalon. 29th of January 2017. Is that right? Well, it's not a very long blog, is it? What's here on the forum? Let's have a look. When was it? Oh, something was posted today. Bill Ryan's threads. Oh, what's this? Is this right? That was in 2010, and it goes on to right. Let's have a look at his contribution. Do I have to view profile? All right, you've got to log in. Oh, okay. It's one of those forums. It still seems to be active. I can say that much. If it's still active, then that's a sign that it's still going, I suppose. Yeah. By the way, I forgot to put the timer on with this one, so I'm going to have to keep a close eye on the clock here. I didn't use the timer. Dr. Hildegard Langstrom says on Royal Wedding Part 7, Balcony, Lancaster and Veitch. I probably watched your coverage of the wedding 13 years ago. I don't remember. Oh, right. Well, I don't remember either. It was so long ago. And I was drunk. I was drinking sherry. I was at my partner, Sue Staines' house, and she was off at work, and I was sitting at home watching the royal wedding. Nothing as it seems. Oh, no, nothing as it seems. How are you? Notice of Tech exclusive. Bibi loves HS2. It's time to tie the knot. Yes, I think Benjamin Netanyahu should go, and he should cut the ribbon on HS2 and celebrate all the trees that were cut down. I'm sure he'd love that. Red Snapper 123 says in Ben in the Desert Part 3 of 3. Good moist names, Indian Wells, Palm Springs. Yes, I did, Red Snapper. I did mention that the names, the very place names in the area appear to be a celebration of water. There's another one, actually, just north of Las Vegas called Crystal Springs, which was actually found by the 49ers. I mentioned the 49ers because it's related to the Jerry Freeman and his invasion of Area 51. They were very, very thirsty by the time they reached that town. I mean, it wasn't a town in those days. I mean, there was nothing in those days. It was an unknown area. But the Las Vegas 49ers, that is the this wagon train, so cool because they reached their destination in Death Valley was it October 1849. That's how they got their name, because of the year they did the travel. They found several places along the road along their route, which they were mapping because they didn't know where they were going, with like wells, so they get water, and they gave them these sort of very, very, oh my God, water at last kind of names. Red Snapper says on 3 of 3 of Ben in the Desert, do you ever use the term USO, unidentified submerged object? Yes. It refers to basically the same thing as a UFO, but it's seen coming in or out. It's either seen in the water, or it's coming in or out of the water, or on the surface of the water. Surface more, I mean, it's rarer. They tend to go in and out, but they appear to be the same phenomenon. They very often have the same appearance. And someone's sending me text messages one moment, ladies and gents. They tend to be. All right. Okay, so that's just a message. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, they tend to be this. They tend to be the same shape. They have to have the same properties. The 5 observables, etc. So I do use that term. We have now on UFO disclosure object gate redux 77762 says first. You're welcome. Thank you very much. 77762 and same video. Darren says here, great big number 2. Oh, thanks, Darren. Much appreciated. Hugo Rune says, come visit, please. I'm going to, Hugo. I'm going to come. I think it was in January or February. We've set a date. Same video. Rick Horden. Chinese spy balloons versus North Korean poo balloon. Oh, Rick, it's neither. it's neither. Oh, well, at least, one was a Chinese spy balloon, the first one, but the others weren't. All right. Ben in the Desert, part 3 of 3. Red Snapper says, O.J. Simpson, the Mandalay Bay shooter. Sedona is the type of guy that is sent in to make us look stupid. Right. I see. It's a timestamp for the video. So 38:26. Let's have a look. Okay.
Yeah.
This is me doing it.
And he says something strange. He says, well, people ask some questions. Says, what happened to the passengers on the planes? And he said, oh, they were taken into the NASA vacuum chamber and the air was pumped out and they were killed. And I thought, that's a bit of a weird, that's a rather strange, way to kill people. I don't agree with that at all. He said O.J. Simpson was the Mandalay Bay shooter. And I'm like, what? Someone asked him if Kate Middleton was dead.
Oh, I see. Right, you are. Okay, I get it. Yeah. I don't. There's no evidence to suggest that O.J. Simpson was the Mandalay-based shooter. He was somebody else. That was this thing that happened in Las Vegas. I actually went there as well. Right. This is he's the type of guy sent in to make us look stupid. Red Snapper, I don't think he was sent in. I think he was booked to speak. I can't remember exactly who you're talking about, but there were a couple of bad speakers there, and I watched them and thought, I thought I should have gone and seen something else, which I'll know better because I'm going back. I hope to go back anyway. This coming year, next year, because I had such a good time. I'd love to go back and do a Ben in the Desert too, because I really felt at home there so much. I really did, and I want to go back again. Sedona, yeah, his name was Sedona. That's right. And Sedona is a kind of hippie commune area. I think it's a few hundred miles from where I was. There's this kind of hippie commune area called Sedona, and it's I know because Derren Brown went there to try and fool people. I remember, which in one of his little staged documentaries. Right, UFO Disclosure 2024, Object Gate Redux, 61 Shirley. Oh, this is Dan. It's Daniel Bostock. Long time no see. How are you? Dan is absolutely instrumental in a couple of videos that I made about the Knots Roswell case. Do check him out. He's a musician. He's a comedian. He's really good. Dan says, if it doesn't happen under Trump, Musk, and Kennedy, it will never happen. That's probably true, actually. That is probably true. Because I'll say more about this next week, because I'll do a live stream about this next week. I can't, but by the way, HPANWO Radio's off the air because I've basically quit Spreaker because they're shit, and I've cancelled my subscription. I was so pissed off with them for reasons I explain on the HPANWO Radio blog. So there's going to be I can't do HPANWO Radio because I've got nowhere to broadcast it from. I'm currently looking for new options to set up a new platform for it. But yeah, I think if Trump, this is what I'm doing my detox for. If Trump wins, and this is Tuesday week, the 5th of November, that is RFK Jr. and Elon Musk I think, people who I think it'll create an atmosphere whereby which we can have more whistleblowers, maybe catastrophic disclosure, which will be nothing of the sort if those guys are in power. Surely, Dan, I want that so much. I want it so badly to happen, because if it doesn't, we're fucked, basically. I'll say more about that in an upcoming live stream I'm planning. Red Snapper, but thanks. Great to see you again, mate. Says on 3-3, Ben in the Desert. I'm half expecting to see pigs flying in the sky. Ben praises Nick Pope. Yeah. And I said here, really, I actually put in a text comment. It really stuck in my throat, I can tell you. Yeah, I have to say that Nick Pope did quite well in his talk. It's an awful thing to say, but yeah. All right, here we go. Now, Jin Skim Pivot is here. Jin Skim Pivot. All right. Oh, this is another guy. This is going to be a long one, man. This is going to be a long one. I know you like intelligent debate, Ben, and I don't see too much of that in your videos, which is a shame because they certainly get me thinking, and your stuff is always interesting and informative. Well, thank you, Jin, but I don't know why you say you don't find intelligent debate, because I do try to read your comments and reply to the points you make in reply. So here's the thing about UFOs you clearly believe in and disclosure of the same. However, disclosure of the same, however it manifests itself. It isn't asking for miracles when your dissenters ask, where is the evidence? Rather, that question is logical, reasonable, and a critical part of the scientific method. This is, after all, science, the observation of physical and observable phenomena. Right. Jin, I do agree with that, and I have actually stated several times that is a perfect thing to ask, and when I answer it, I'm doing my best to answer that. And to be honest with there is this credibility gap at the moment in ufology. It has been since 2017, which is a lot of assertions have been made with very little evidence. And very often what you'll hear from these whistleblowers is, well, I know this, but I can't tell you exactly what. And things like that, I can't tell you. I can't prove it because I'm not allowed to. I've been allowed to tell you about these things, but That's all I can do right now. And that's frustrating. I understand the people are frustrated. Of course, the backslappers, go into like ecstasy whenever they hear this. But on a more rational level, I mean, I'm not a backslapper, okay, but on a more rational level, yeah, I mean, I hope that changes at some point. Unlike the backslappers and the skeptics, I don't think this is a reason to denounce the people saying it. People like Lou Elizondo, for example. That's probably the example you were thinking of. That's not a reason to denounce them and to reject them because of it. Jin continues. A president couldn't cover up a simple burglary in 1972 when a security guard found lock latches in the Watergate building taped open with duct tape. Another president was later globally humiliated and disgraced because he couldn't hide a dress with his own semen stain. Thus, evidence very easy to conceal or destroy was created, found, and revealed, to the consternation of extremely powerful individuals who were powerless to stop the revelations. Yes, but you see, those particular secrets, I mean, and interesting, it's funny that Woodward and Bernstein were called conspiracy theorists originally when they first published. They were called the conspiracy theorists. Of course, it was later proved to be true, and we conspiracy theorists are used to that now. The thing about it is, though, these are big secrets, but there are secrets that are bigger than big. All right, there are secrets about Bill Clinton's private life with this attractive young intern, and there was the fact that in this hotel room, Richard Nixon organized a burglary of his political rivals, for which he resigned. He didn't wait to be impeached. He decided to jump before he was pushed. Those are big secrets which make people go, "Oh my God!" It's like when an MP, embezzles expenses to build a duck pond in our garden. Oh my God! When an MP, uses their expenses to pay for their private phone bill. Oh my God! But what about when you find out that we're not alone in the universe, but not the aliens aren't out there, they're down here with us, and they have motives which are very, very nebulous and might not necessarily be friendly. What about when you find out one of the worst terrorist atrocities on September 11th, 2001 was actually done by the people controlling the government of the nation which it was done to? What about when you find out that children are being abused in enormous numbers, in a scale of severity and severity that was beyond anything anyone else ever feared? Those secrets keep themselves. There's no need for the government to say, well, we have to keep this secret. They presented the people, and the people who would be shocked, who were shocked by these real things, they go, that cannot be true. That I'm turning away from it. I'm not going to look at it. None other than J. Edgar Hoover he made a quote about this. He said that an individual person. Well, let me find the quote. An individual. Yeah, it's a very good quote. All right, here we go. An individual. Here we go. The individual is handicapped by coming face to face with a conspiracy so monstrous that they cannot believe it exists. The American mind simply has not come to the realization of the evil which has been introduced into our midst. And he was referring to the Red Scare in that situation, but I mean, you could be, that counts for almost anything. I believe that most people do not have the mental capacity to absorb a revelation of that magnitude. That is the difference between UFOs and a taped up lock latch. Right, Jinskin, IOW. Does that stand for Isle of Wight? IOW. I don't know what it stands for. Isle of Wight. I don't know what that stands for, though. If hard evidence exists of alien contact, alien materials, or alien technology in the hands of a human organization, it's difficult to see it not getting out, whichever government has it, in a form which immediately causes sensation, outrage, and embarrassment to whomever has failed to keep it secret. Well, for reasons I've just explained, I don't think that's the case. But even that, even despite that, sometimes things do get out there in materials. If you read Sacred Corridors by Irena Scott, there are events when this does happen, where alien technology and materials does get out into public hands. When it does, everyone just says, no, it's not real. So again, that's another example of what I was talking about earlier. Questions. 1. How is it the UFO movement, quote unquote, sits on grainy films, low-res photos, and more recently, fantastic verbal claims, while making no demand for evidence or even giving the lack of evidence too much importance anyway? Right. Well, I don't think that count. If any the individuals in the UFO movement, because the UFO movement is not one thing, who do make no demand for evidence and give lack of evidence too much importance, right? I think they're making a mistake, and I'm not one of those, and I know people who are not. But we don't just rely on grainy films, low-res photos, etc. We rely on evidence that has been brought forward on films, sometimes quite high quality, and some of the photos are quite high quality, and expert witness testimony, of which there is a voluminous amount. And the problem is it's kind of like a double bind. We're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, Jen, because when you do produce videos and photos that are higher quality, which happens a lot more than it used to because of the fact that we all carry a little camera around in our pockets, quite a high resolution camera in our pockets, the cry goes out, well, that's faked, mate. And unfortunately, in this day and age, that might be true, because the technology to allow us that access to photographic quality all the time has also given rise to technology that allows us to produce fake images that are very, very believable and almost indistinguishable from the real thing. Question number 2. Given the above, why is Apollo doubted when there was voluminous quantities of spoken testimony and science, high-res media, global scientific support, physical evidence, millions of pages of independent study, and literally no unanswered questions on any aspect of the project? Okay, I don't agree that there are no unanswered aspects of the project, and I don't believe there are plenty of unanswered aspects of the project, and indeed there is a narrative that's been put forward by people like the Apollo detectives to state that that there are problems with the idea that this voluminous quantity of spoken testimony, etc., and scientific support was gathered from a real moon mission. But again, to doubt that officially, when most people will, as Hoover said, turn away from it. Given the proof that of Apollo that isn't already in the public domain, but it's denied. That denial or skepticism relies entirely on mutual affirmation of unchecked claims and significant evidence omissions. Well, I don't agree, I'm afraid, on that, Jin, and I've done several videos explaining why. I'm not going to repeat that here. So it's your choice to have faith in full UFO disclosure, of course, but how is that of similar faith in the credibility of Apollo skeptics that sees their claims accepted, usually without question, and displays colossal quantities of hard evidence, up to and including third-party observation? Respectfully, why the conflicting double standards? Oh, okay, so you're saying that there's this lack of evidence of UFOs, but we think UFOs are real, but there's a huge amount of evidence for Apollo, but we think Apollo is not real. Okay. The answer is partly because of the psychological and cultural weight that each position carries. That is the psychological and cultural weight for saying that UFOs are real, which is shared with the idea that Apollo is fake. Now, epistemologically, that might seem contradictory, and indeed you accuse me of being contradictory, but it's not, because the cultural and psychological positioning of those two beliefs is the opposite of the other. The opposite is that the Apollo missions were all above board and they all happened. We sent people to the moon on chemical rockets, and they dodged the solar flares and they came back safe. All of them, even the one where there was only one major malfunction in the entire program, which is Apollo 13. But at the same time, UFOs aren't real because there's no evidence for them. On one level, what you say makes sense, but those two opinions, UFOs aren't real and Apollo was real, are culturally and psychologically weighted with another set of baggage. That is why I don't think I'm practicing any double standards here. Not least because I am rationally, that's not the reason I'm not practicing double standards. That's the reason I interpret the public's perception of these things. How am I doing for time, guys? Let's have a look. Recording. I'm going to have to finish in a minute. I'll just finish this point and we'll end this particular segment. You see, when it comes to the vast quantities of evidence for Apollo, I've done several videos questioning that with other people. They're not just on my channel; they're on others. And if you wish to comment on those videos and address the actual points we make, that's absolutely fine. You have done before, I believe. But at the same time, I believe the evidence for UFOs is the same. That indicates that they're real. I hope I've clarified myself and I've explained things for you. I hope this counts as intelligent debate, and I hope you now have seen plenty of that on this video. I'll come back for part 2 because you've left another comment. So see you in a minute. Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for hour number 2. And I'm just going to reply. And Jin Skin Pivot has actually put a second comment here, which says here, supplemental in simplified form: UFO alien contact, afterlife contact, verbal claims and thin evidence, faith equals faith-based acceptance. Apollo, disclosure of every evidence type and global academic affirmation equals doubts and rejection. Please rationalize the polarized stance. That's okay. So this what this reply is simply a it is simply kind of a summary of the one I've just done. Okay. And David Smith says here underneath, quote, there are left with only illegal methods to get information out, unquote, equals acceptable. There are left with only illegal methods to get into a country equals unacceptable. Right. So you're saying that I support illegal methods to get information out. In other words, catastrophic disclosure. This means that therefore I have to accept illegal entry into a country in vast numbers, which is doing terrible damage to that countries socially and economically. Are you saying that's some kind of contradiction? Because I don't think it is. I don't think that's a contradiction at all. So yeah, I don't quite get that. I just don't quite get why you think that. That's a contradiction. Right, here we go. And David carries on underneath. The conspiracy theorist mindset is one of massive double standards and special pleading fallacies. It's why it often ends up alienating, no pun intended, believers from their friends and families. It pushes them hard into beliefs about politics and how the world is being run, quote unquote. Then, like with religious people, they claim persecution while simultaneously claiming they are increasing in support and numbers, like when Trump was elected. The failure of any claims to come into reality, like disclosure, then becomes evidence of the shady, powerful organizations preventing it, and not, as the rational person would believe, a step towards the whole thing being potentially untrue. Right. The conspiracy theorist mindset, the double standards and special pleading. Okay, well, I've already addressed that partly with my reply to Jin Skin Pivot. And alienating believers from their friends and families. Well, that has happened to me, I admit. Pushing me hard into beliefs about politics and how the world is being run, quote unquote, being run. I wouldn't say I was pushed hard into these things. I think you don't choose your beliefs. They come upon you. And I wasn't pushed hard, but I did over time realize that this was true. That's, if you call that pushing, so be it. It's like with religious people, they claim persecution while simultaneously claiming they're increasing in support and numbers. Like when Trump was elected. Okay, well, I do claim we are persecuted. I mean, I claim persecution. If you look at what's happened to Richard D. Hall in the last couple of days, I cover it on HPANWO Voice. That's persecution. That's a ruling in a court against him, which runs contrary to the actual court proceedings. That's persecutions. But we are also increasing in support and numbers, and that's not a contradiction because there are two forces at work among those with political power in the world today. There are those fighting for good and those fighting for evil. So that's not a contradiction. The failure of claims to come into reality, like disclosure, becomes evidence of a shady, powerful organization preventing it, and not, as the rational person would believe, a step towards things being potentially untrue. No, I don't think that's the reason why we think that. The failure of claims to come into reality sometimes happens because things don't go according to plan. We've seen that with the 17th letter, haven't we? A lot of people now have rejected the 17th letter because, well, it didn't happen, did it? None of these things happened. Well, did it occur to you that that Trump was defeated by, or temporarily defeated by, the forces of darkness? We now have an opportunity in the next couple of weeks to restore the light. That's why. And when it comes to disclosure, there are. I mean, people say, well, disclosure. It's not. Can't you realize, as a rational person would think, this is simply untrue? There are no UFOs because there was no disclosure. They had a hearing on it and nothing happened. There were laws passed and nothing happened. The laws were passed and there was a hearing when nothing happened because there's nothing to disclose. There's nothing for the laws to enforce. That's not rational when you look at actually what happened. Because if you look at what happened, you'll realize that the laws, like the disclosure amendment, the Schumer amendment, was repealed. It was repealed by people who had a vested interest in this not coming forward, by the two Mikes and people like them whose campaigns were funded by the military-industrial complex. That's not a reason to think UFOs aren't untrue. That's the exact opposite. If UFOs weren't real, they would just roll their eyes and have a laugh about it down the pub and say, all right, we'll sit through this in Congress. Maybe I can have a nap while I'm sitting there. And they waffle on about flying saucers, these nonsense things. But no. There was a massive reaction against this revelation, which indicates there must be something to reveal. So you're wrong about that too. Oh, right, there. All right. That's no, that, all right. They are left. Okay, I just misunderstood what David said earlier because he said there are left. I think I knew what you meant, and I think, David, I understood what point you were making. So, but yeah, autocorrect's always a problem, isn't it? That's the end of that thread. Right, Bluebeam. That's on 102. You should try to lose weight with vitamins B3, niacin, chicken liver, champignon, and peanuts are high B3 foods. It's right. Well, I'm not trying to lose weight specifically. I'm doing a spiritual detox. But I think when it comes to for people who do diet, you have to permanently change your diet. So maybe chicken livers, champignons, are little small edible mushrooms, and peanuts. It could be that eating those things will cause you to lose weight. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that there are supplements that increase weight loss. I think that's a scam. That's one thing the skeptics get right. But if you permanently start eating a lower calorie diet, you will lose weight. Yeah. It's also called nicotinic acid as a supplement. Maybe blood tests will show this is lacking because you need to know where you are, that you not overdosing, which is bad with niacin. Okay, that's one of the B groups, isn't it? Because I know if you overdose on vitamin B, it's actually poisonous, isn't it? But 2-month daily dosing of 150 milligrams a day, 30 milligrams steps dosing per hour, you will also feel it's increasing cognitive function. The first step before evaluating your insomnia problem. I lost 15 kilos and it's almost impossible to gain any extra weight at all for me now. It's insane, really. All right. Well, Bluebeam, if you're eating mushrooms, those little small mushrooms are very nice. And chicken liver is very nice when it's nicely cooked. And peanuts. If you're going to eat those, then that's why you lost 15 kilos. And if you're still eating those, you won't put on any extra weight. Yeah. And he adds here, well, I did for 4 months though. And as for my insomnia problem, it seems to, I haven't had it lately. I did have it a little. I have it a little bit. It's not something that hits me regularly. It's something I get about once a week, and I know what causes it. It's to do with my things going through my mind. But it has eased off a bit. It has eased off in the last few months, definitely. I've got a new pillow as well, which you can. I don't know if I can. I'm not changing this now, but on some of my videos, you can see I've got a new pillow, and I think that's very helpful too. Redux Johnny Nolan says, Ben, Michael did an interview with Miles. It's still the Germans. Oh, that's Michael Shrimpton. Yeah, he still thinks it's the Germans. Snarnock said here in Meadows Part 1 of 2, when you used a West Country accent to speak to the robot about bringing the cows in, the Americans around you were probably wondering why you were speaking in a stereotypical pirate accent. Yes, that's it. I think that's how they see things, don't they? Yeah. But it's funny that I thought it was amazing that robot understood me, but didn't get the joke. Amazing that, yeah. The Bexley. Oh, this is a really old one. The Bexley Heath UFO incident, part 2 of 4. Des Smith says, cringe. Oh, really? Well, there's no pleasing some of you, isn't there? Oxford Graffiti 9, Nihilist Lives Matter. First to claim first. Well done, Nihilist. Well done indeed. David Gregg says, it's Fat Freddy's cat. Oh, is that who I am? Are you talking about me? Who are you talking about? Is this a scene in the particular video? Could you give me a timestamp? Video band 12. See through the veil. Says here. Hi Ben, you have to understand something. I know several people have been using that phrase, understand, to understand. It's an alternative to understand. It's a bit like saying that resonates or it doesn't resonate. And so I don't have a problem with that. I'm just thinking it's quite amusing. I do think it does make me laugh, but yeah. There's no difference in any. What's that? There's an emoji for something. I can't see what it is. It's like, I think it's an ice cream. There's no difference in any ice creams. Or was it? Oh, parties. Oh, right. Oh, parties. I think you mean political parties, right? It's a party emoji. It's like a party popper, yeah. I'll tell you why, because they're all selected and every side works for the same controllers. Right. See through. If you'd said that to me a few years ago, maybe 20 years ago, I'd 100% agreed with you. Now I only 50% agree with you because there are exceptions. And some of those exceptions have become very, very powerful in the last few years, especially in 2016. But anyway, I'll put my inner standing to the conundrum and maybe change my mind. We'll see. Oxford Graffiti 9. Helen Tucker says, thanks for the tour. Interesting art. You're welcome, Helen. You're welcome. Mysterious Earth 2024. Ralph Winter. Nice one, Ben. Good vid. Good vid. I think that's Swedish for happy something. Oxford Graffiti 9. Carl Costello says, I think the Masked Raiders, as you say, are Scorpion and Sub-Zero for Mortal Kombat. Very cool either way. I don't know. Honestly, I'm afraid, Cole, I don't play those sorts of games. I play one computer game, Dangerous Waters, and I've even put some videos up, not on YouTube, on other sites about that, yeah. Oxford Graffiti 9, Lance Corporal says, hello, do you remember that lovely art down that Cowley Road? There used to be an exhibit about it in the National History Museum. Both it and the exhibit are now gone. Oh, really? I didn't know there was an exhibit about it in the National History Museum. But some of these murals are actually gone, and literally the only record that they ever existed is my videos about it. That's why I make these videos, because literally that's it, yeah. Bed in the Desert Part 3 of 3. 1 hour 20. This is Red Snapper again. 1 hour 20, 36. Why don't you swim? All right, here we go. I think I know what this is. All right, this is me. Here we go. And we're sort of sitting around here. There's not many people here today. But anyway, I must say, old boy, this is dreadfully pleasant.
The water.
Yeah. All right, can hardly hear me because of the waterfall, the little fountain. That was at the hotel in the Lido. I managed to sneak into the Lido at the hotel. It's strictly guests only, but I tailgated someone through a door. I didn't have my swimming trunks, basically. I mean, I did take my top off at one point and just sat with my top off. I didn't bring swimming trunks with me. If I go again, I'll pack those. I'll make sure I pack swimming gear. Yeah, so I can have a swim. Yes, definitely. Because I want to go again this year. Hopefully there'll be another conference in the same place, and I'll go again because I just loved it so much. Right, Ben in the Desert, Part 1 of 3. Jonathan Trinity Martin says, interesting frequencies coming through in the background at the 2-hour mark if you listen with headphones. Oh, really? Right, this is on Part 1, 2 hours in. Let's have a listen.
So I'm a bit confused over why that is. I think it...
1 second.
It could be... I don't know. It could... This is like a panel on UAP disclosure, or UFO disclosure, as I still call it. Then we have an experiencer host, J King, at 10, if you want to go to that. Then 10:30, 12, using science and technology in search of truth. Clyde Lewis, Mark D'Antonio, Adam Curry, Caroline Corley, Anthony Peake, Mitch Randall, Richard Geldrich. Richard Dolan lecture, more move, counter move, the Disclosure Chess King. That looks good. Andrew Collins, Göbekli Tepe. All right. As I said, Mark of Crafty Nihilist went to his tour recently.
I can't hear him.
In Turkey. And then the Hertz.
Right. Okay. Jonathan, I can't hear anything. I'm sorry. I can't hear anything. Oh, he's got another comment here. I'm sure something's coming through the background at 2 hours. Listen for a few minutes with the headphones on. From the 2-hour mark to the noise in the background, those frequencies are connected to ETs being around, in my humble opinion. They may be literally communicating. Well, Jonathan, I don't have time to listen to minutes of this video, but it could be just that there was background noise in the room. I don't want to play skeptic's advocate here, but I mean, I do believe that ETs are present in some situations, and they do try to communicate with us. But at the same time, I had an air conditioning unit in my room because it's a hot place, and every building has aircon. So that used to go off every so often and blow cold air in, which I was very grateful for, of course. All right, so Ben in the Desert Part 3 of 3, 139.46. Was that Colin drinking beer for breakfast? Top right. Let's have a look, shall we? So 139.43. Was it 139.46? Okay, so that's 3 of 3, which is here. I'm glad you're going through these videos. I like it when you go through all these videos. Here we go.
A bag full of something, yeah. Anyway, I'm awake. I mean, I could have had a lie in if I wanted. I don't.
My room didn't have half as good a view as Colin's and Ollie. I showed you it, didn't I? They had a lovely view of the golf course, whereas mine overlooked the main road. And there's a balcony which I didn't use because it's really small. It's covered in dead leaves, and it's very hot because the air conditioning outflow is there. So every so often, massive amounts of hot air would blow over you.
We don't have to leave till about 11, so I don't have to go down to breakfast now. But I think, seeing as I'm awake, I might as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to miss this coffee. They always say Yanks can't do tea, but Brits can't do coffee. So I look forward to getting a cup of tea when I get home, but not coffee. You would please know I don't actually feel.
I think that's apple juice.
I don't really feel miserable like I thought.
I think that's apple. I don't think they didn't serve beer for breakfast there. There was a bar which was shut around 8 p.m., which is pretty useless. So yeah, I think that was apple juice. Colin does sometimes drink beer for breakfast, not very often. All right, Nicholas Baines here on this is Nicholas Baines. This is on. God blimey, I'm only about a quarter of the way through. This is going to be bloody long. I was just getting used to doing really short comments replies videos, and now I get this massive whopper to do. Let's just check. I haven't got share screen. Okay. Hi Ben, please can you do a catch-up video on Dr. Reed's alien encounter in the forest when he wrapped the alien in tinfoil and took it home? There's something that rings true of that experience, and it's been buried. Thanks for everything. Nicholas, thank you very much. That's a great comment, and I could do one. I mean, I'm not sure I can add anything though to the one I've already done. Is it? Let's have a look a moment, because I actually. Let's have just a quick look. Jonathan Reed, because I could do this. Is the notice here? I actually removed the YouTube one, and the reason I don't often do this, but I was getting so much troll comments, troll comments, unbelievable, that it was actually people were actually fed posting on there, and so I deleted the YouTube. I've privatized the YouTube copy of this particular video. But maybe, I mean, if I don't really see any point though, unless new information comes to light. I mean, I think I've said everything that I needed to say in that video. And I don't think I can add anything more, Nicholas, but it is a fascinating case. It is a fascinating case. You see, I know it's been, what's the word? Comprehensively discredited. The skeptics and the backslappers keep saying it's comprehensively discredited. When I ask them, how do you know it's comprehensively discredited? Every single one of them will just show me this UFO watchdog page. That's Royce, what's his name? Royce somebody. He did this thing called UFO Watchdog, which is from 1997, and it's not been updated in however long that is, 25 plus years. And Royce Myers, his name was, Royce Myers invented backslapping. Essentially, he was the original UFO backslapper. And I've gone through it, and I actually do a review of Royce's page in that video, and I don't think it adds up. I really don't think it adds up. I think there is a case to answer for Jonathan Reed. I think the people who just say, "Oh, it's been faked," they've heard it was faked, and then they just point a finger at this particular page from 27 odd years ago. So that's not good enough. I think I've actually met Dr. Reed. I'm in two minds about whether he's truthful or not, to be honest. David Smith says in reply to that, the only thing that rings true is the lack of good evidence, an overrated script followed by heavy grifting and some blatantly fake teleporting videos that puts the case squarely in the can be ignored without some amazingly good evidence presented camp. Right, the teleport video was faked. Yes, it was basically trick photography with some recorded sound. So yeah, that was, if Reed did that, then he's not helping his cause. The script, I don't believe a lot of it is not scripted, especially the scene where he sees the monolith. I mean, he's panting. You can see he's hyperventilating. There's no doubt about that's a man hyperventilating under an enormous amount of stress. But I mean, if you want evidence, if you say the lack of good evidence, meaning he hasn't presented the alien in a freezer and sent it to the BBC, then yeah, that evidence is lacking. Nicholas says, "Oh yeah, when you mentioned that ridiculous teleportation thing, you got me. But that forest footage of the craft is bloody convincing." All right, Nicholas has made the same point I have. Well done, Nicholas. David says, it didn't look convincing to me. The body never moved, only a single eye movement that looked edited. And how strange that when he claimed the alien woke up, the camera was nowhere to be found. Yeah, when it was perfectly still on the floor, ta-da, we have a camera. Yeah, he didn't actually, he recorded some audio of it, but he didn't actually film the alien. Like, maybe he was just too shocked. I mean, maybe it didn't occur to him because he was too shocked. But no, there's like an alien that looks like it could be a real one, or it could be a dummy. I mean, if it's a dummy, then you got to ask this, David. I mean, I make the same point when it comes to the alien interview. To fake all this would have needed. He couldn't have done all that on his own. He would have needed a team of people. After all these years, they haven't been tempted to come forward and blow the whistle and say, "I fooled the world" thing. Give me money, because it's very lucrative. So that is a question you have to ask yourself, because that certainly happened with the alien autopsy. Sorry, Colin. Nicholas said, in reply to David, I thought the skin would be different to fake like that. I know what you mean, though. I'm just gutted and don't want to believe that someone would be that fucked up to fake all this. Nicholas, some people are, unfortunately. I mean, would somebody fake something like this? Yes. People have faked much more elaborate hoaxes than this. However, Nick, I mean, look at the Stan Romanek and the alien peeking through the window. I mean, that's people. And in this day and age, it's much easier. You don't need like a team of people to create dummies. You can do it all with AI. So yeah, there are real hoaxes, unfortunately, David. And I don't want to believe that someone would do it, and I don't want to believe that Jonathan Reed did it. However, he might have done. I'm not a 100% believer in Dr. Jonathan Reed at all. And yeah, and Nicholas says, and the craft. That's some feat to pull all those angles off. David says under here, unfortunately, we live in a world where people will do almost anything for a number of reasons and motivations. David, I agree with you on that, definitely. He may also, of course, be a bit sick in the head, as is often the case. The craft didn't look impressive to me, and I don't remember him showing it from all angles, only a couple and from a distance. Again, easily faked. The alien looked like a badly made mannequin. I don't think the craft, if it was faked, the monolith, the craft, whatever it was, that would have needed to be built by a skilled carpenter. It's probably made of wood, and it's not the sort of thing you could just put together by getting a saw and a tape measure and going like that and then hammering it together with nails. It would be very obvious if you or I did that. It would need someone who's used to working with wood. Reed would have had to employ someone to do it. It would need to be on a stand because it's above the ferns in the forest. And it's not just all from a distance and it's an indistinct. There are some close-up photos of it from his camera. Again, he says, and the alien looks like a badly made mannequin. It could have been a mannequin. If so, then it must have been made by someone with the skill to make these things. Again, people have said things like, "Oh, Reed just got some. He ground up some bread and wetted it and turned it into like bread pulp and put that into a bag." I mean, no. That is made that. If that is a mannequin, it's made with people who know about special effects. The fact is that you could see a cut on the head with blood coming out. That's not easy to fake. That would have cost him a lot of money, and he'd have had to get some big time techies in to do it. So I don't think you discredit. I don't agree with you. Although I do agree that you might be right about greed. I don't think what you've given me here is not a reason to. What was that phrase you used? Put it in the ignore without amazingly good evidence camp. I don't agree with you on that. Israel war live stream. Neil says, Ben, I didn't mean you were pale due to some detox thing going on, though. I mean, the settings on your webcam make you lose contrast, and perhaps you can see in your video now. Let's have a look, Neil. Maybe it's to do with the lighting. I see what you mean. Because I look a bit pale. I look sort of like uber white, don't I? I mean, my privilege must be through the roof. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned the Dr. Jonathan Reed video is on Alt Tech. All right, I haven't taken it down from there. Israel war live stream. Dan Shirley, Dan Bostock, I'm loving this stream, he says. And I replied to him, great to see you again, Dan. And he says, you too, mate. So it's great to have Dan back, yeah. Dark Corners UK, Dark Corners Beyond, sorry, same video. There's another person I haven't heard from a while. If it is Dark Corners, no, Dark Corners UK actually I think he went away for a while, but it wasn't that long ago. But anyway, he says, Ben, mate, it's Dark Corners UK. My previous account has been taken down mysteriously by the powers of the be without so much as a single fuck you. I'm sorry that happened to you, Dark Corners. He's now called Dark Corners Beyond. It does happen, unfortunately. It could happen to me. As far as I can tell, I broke none of their rules apart from the occasional centre-right political opinion that might not jive with their left-wing ideology. I'm squeakily clean. Well, Dark Corners, that's all it needs, doesn't it? I mean, anyone to the right of Mao Zedong these days is a fascist. So, and not Wojcicki, she died, didn't she? The lady who ran YouTube, but whoever's replaced her is just as sort of like much of a woke bully. I'm squeaky clean. All this to say, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. Absolutely anyone. Yes. They are coming for those of us who aren't afraid to speak the truth. So watch your backs out there. From now on, I will be posting exclusively from this account. Love and respect, DCB. Thanks, Dark Corners. Great to have you back, mate. And you know what? This is a story I hear all the time. It could happen to me. I actually said this in my review of Richard D. Hall's verdict just a couple of days ago. I said, who's next? If this is a common law precedent, is it going to be me? Notice of all tech exclusive. How sensible are you? Dr. Hildegard Langstrom says, which Odyssey channels would you recommend? Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Eye. No, all right. That's enough Red Dwarf. My own, of course, Ben the J.R. Porter. Styx Hexenhammer. Basis Project. Is Basis on Odyssey? Basically, what others are there? Checktheevidence.com. That's Andrew Johnson's one. That's good. Podcast of Lotus Eaters. There's so many. You could go there yourself and have a look. It's amazing. Get an account. Iran versus Israel war live stream. Lance Corporal. No, I missed it. Oh, Lance, I'm sorry, mate. I really am. But the recording's there for you. Right. Melvin Sherman says here on white people, a reply to Christy Winters. Oh, my God, this is an old one. I'm surprised this hasn't been banned. I really am. I'm not taking it. One thing I refuse to do, I'm not going to go into this mindset by saying, well, I'm going to take this video down before it's banned because it has stuff that is bannable. I'm not going to do that, because once you start thinking like that, you start, you go in this sort of sanitization process of your channel, and I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not doing that. Melvin Sherman says, also, I forget, I don't Putin would attack Belarus because the leader of that country is best friends with Putin. Oh, I think you mean I don't forget. I forgot. Oh, you made another comment. Oh, maybe you did. Yeah, I think maybe you did. Well, no, the leader. Yes, and the Belarus is an ally of Russia. Yeah, it's about the only ally, unfortunately, Putin has in Eastern Europe these days. And what I heard, if Putin wins, it would be part of Putin's non-communist neo-Soviet Union Eastern Bloc minus communist. Okay, maybe Putin will go full of Belarus, which basic cultural there, non-socialist, but economy there again. Again, I'm not an economy person, but what I heard, Belarus economy is socialist, but they're not a socialist country. Again, I don't know much about economy or geographical. All right, you're not. I mean, I'm not going to go Stefan Molyneux on you, Melvin, but you're not. Your syntax is awful, and I'll do my. I think I understand what you're saying here, though. Yeah, Belarus is an ally of Russia. Putin does want to establish a sphere of influence in what used to be the Soviet bloc, that is the Warsaw Pact countries. But people, the idea, he like bowler hat man, he wants to bring back a Soviet Union. No, he doesn't. The Soviet Union was a Marxist Leninist political experiment, and Putin is totally against that. I don't know about Putin. Is Belarus a socialist? I mean, it may have a kind of Keynesian regulation in its economy, but and no more so than Russia, I don't think. Anyway, and also, again, if Putin wins, he would make his own Soviet Union minus Marxist and communist and socialist is more than Eastern Bloc run by conservative, like authoritarian conservative, full with Russian mob, aka the mafia and oligarchs. I hope not. I hope it doesn't become some kind of authoritarian conservatism. I would like to see it as a form of libertarian conservatism with Russian traditionalism in the kind of ringing cedars variety, centering on small businesses and local land ownership and things like that. As far as the oligarchs and the mafia goes, again, that they had their heyday, I think, in the 90s during the anarchic situation post-Soviet. I feel that Russia's recovered from that now. It's really sort of like solidified and strengthened since those days. Again, it is just my theory. There actually is there's actually a video. If Putin wins in Ukraine, Belarus will be part of Russia, and the leader of Belarus is to agree 100%. Right. I don't think personally that Putin wants to create any kind of, I believe, political federation here. I think he wants allied countries. He wants. I mean, you could argue that he's imperialistic because he wants to replace the governments in various countries in Eastern Europe with ones who are friendly to him. And he knows the opposite is happening. This is why Yanukovych was poisoned and had to go into hiding, because they wanted the Zelensky dynasty type governments in Ukraine. Because Yanukovych was a Russian ally. Ukraine used to be like Belarus; it used to be very pro-Putin. But I don't believe that he wants to create some kind of federation in the line of the EU, in which Poland, Czechia, Slovakia, Ukraine, Bulgaria, etc. are just like member states. I don't think he wants that. Bowler Hatman thinks that's what he wants, but he's wrong. He's about most things. He carries on. And the reason why Finland and Sweden join NATO is simply to say to Putin, the reason NATO wants those countries is so they can, to quote the president himself, is they want to hold a knife to Russia's throat. And Putin don't want to attack any NATO country. He attacks Ukraine simply because if NATO tried to attack or leave Russia and whatever, this would happen and is backfire. Yeah, he doesn't want to. He wouldn't attack a NATO country, because if he did that, that would trigger a massive response according to the treaty, which could involve nuclear weapons. He's invaded Ukraine to liberate the Russian enclaves in the east, that is the Donbass, that is the ethnic Russian areas in the east, and secondly, to put pressure on the globalist regime in Kiev. He doesn't want to invade Kiev. That's not one of his objectives. He wants to wear it down by attrition. He also wanted to capture the biological warfare sites across the country, which these are NATO biological warfare locations. Now, he's succeeded in all of those. So you could say that Putin is running 95% on his way to winning the war. He wanted to do this before Ukraine was formally entered into NATO. That was what he was afraid of. And also here, this is a video I want your reaction to. This is some Orwellian shit right here. I'm not even joking. All right, I'll have a look. It depends how long they are. I may not be able to react right now. Russian plans to annex Belarus by 2030. That's Caspian report. Hang on. Okay, let's have a look.
With Asana, AI teammates are here to help keep work on track.
I don't
Try
give a
it
damn
for
about
free.
Asana.
This is Alexander Lukashenko. He's been in charge of Belarus for nearly 3
That's one. All right, let's have a look at the other one then. I don't have time to reply to that now, but let's have a look at this one.
This is Belarus, and this is Russia. Right now, they're best of buds, but within 5 years, their relationship status might be getting a little bit more complicated. That's because Russia has an insane plan. A leaked document from Vladimir Putin's executive office recently revealed that by 2030, Russia fully intends to backstab Belarus.
All right, I don't have time to watch all these and react now. They're both 17 minutes long. I've not heard of this document. Thing is, if documents leak, it's sometimes not always accidental, and they're not always genuine. So bear that in mind. It could be that this is some form of disinformation from the Russian government. Maybe he's posturing. This could be some kind of posturing towards NATO, and it could be he told the Belarusian president and said, "Look, I'm just going to look. I don't really mean this, okay? But this is a document I'm just going to leak, okay?" So this could be. They could be that Belarus and Russia both conspired to leak this document. Leak, as I said, accidentally on purpose, leak this document. Second possibility, Melvin, and this is some Orwellian shit, as you say here. The second possibility is that this is a document, a fake document, which is disinformation from the other side. This could be NATO disinformation. In the same way as I described in my Helen Duncan video, that there was disinformation, which Ian Fleming and people like that spread disinformation during that war. Yeah. Mr. James Cos. Now, right, I put up a community notice, which is just saying apologies for the lack of activity on this channel this week. I was going to make a video and I didn't because I can't even remember now what it was. I'm not going to look it up now, but someone replied. I apologize basically for the lack of activity. I think I was ill. I think I was not very well. Mr. James Cos says here, I'm sure I can speak for everyone who's subscribed to your channels by saying thank you for your tireless efforts at exposing the agendas at play in the world and all the content that you upload. Taking a break and a rest can also be beneficial, so not to overdo things, which may lead to colds, etc. Looking forward to your next upload, Ben. Oh, thanks, Mr. James. I did. I really appreciate what you said, and I uploaded 3 videos after that, didn't I, in a row? ASAP seriously strange, Snarnock. You could try using smelling salts to help you stay awake during the conference if you get drowsy. Oh, right. I mean, I don't know what I just sort of like sit there at the back and go. All right, now we have Maggie Downey. Now this is interesting because this person, there's a whole series of comments that this person's left. I'll only put one. I'll only put one reply, but it's on my Helen Duncan, the most dangerous psychic in the world video. Right. And this is strange because this person claims to be Helen's granddaughter. However, Helen only has one granddaughter called Maggie, and I already know her, and she's 100% behind me. But there's this very strange series of comments here. My great nana. Oh, all right. Oh, I see. Great nana. Okay. Who are you? Do you mean your nana was great, or she's your great nana? All right. Who are you? So maybe you are actually a great granddaughter. Okay. But I checked the channel. It's pretty much a blank channel with just a few faves. Keep pulling my nana down. You what sad man? Do you read? Crack on. Do you think my nana was a fraud? Question mark. My mum and Auntie Anne are in Scotland doing a dock Rome tray, whatever that is, in Scotland right now. Think you best butter it. And then keep going, love. Read it. Right, this person's not actually being very again, is not very articulate, and is not, the spelling and grammar is really bad. But this person seems to start out, she's watched this video and made a series of comments at the first, thinking that I'm against her grandmother, Helen Duncan, or great-grandmother, asking me if I think she was a fraud, and ending up realizing that I'm actually on her side. And she ends with, "Keep going, love." So, great. Okay, new video, The Secrets of Diego Garcia, Body Technician. Says here, "Hi, Ben." Hi, Body Technician, how are you? How am I doing for time? Right. Another blonde says on Diego Garcia, "Nice t-shirt." Yes, I forgot which t-shirt I was wearing for that, actually. I think it might have been my Roswell. It might have been my Dreamy Sources one. Hatchy says, "Oh, Ben ain't moved on since KBS." What do you mean, moved on since Kev Baker show? Well, I haven't. No. Why? Where am I supposed to move on to? I love doing the Kev Baker show. I think Kev was a brilliant presenter, a good friend, and so I haven't moved on from that because I don't want to. I don't think it's right to move on from that, wherever moving on is. I think Kev basically had, in terms of his methodology, he had it sussed. Same video, Van Gaborum, what's it? Van Gabon Dramblin Rose says here, "Can I call you Van? I don't understand why the government have done this. Clearly it was done with the agreement or at the behest of the US administration. So what is it they want from this?" Right, yeah. Well, Van, as I explained, I think they wanted this base, the Americans wanted this base in the Indian Ocean during the Cold War. It came to that conclusion. And the British the British colonial administration just said, "Okay, we'll do what you want. We'll even move the people off the islands for your convenience. We'll trick them or force them into leaving their home." Neil Peel says, "I used to work for British Forces TV and radio and used to take calls from Diego Garcia." All right, cool. Same video, Neil Peel, Reunion Island, where allegedly parts of MH370 washed ashore. Yes, I'm glad you said allegedly, because those fragments have never been formally provably connected to MH370. The actual identity plates have been removed from them all, strangely enough. Apparently just fell off. Very convenient, that, isn't it? DJ B2 says on the same video, "So my late father had been to Diego Garcia many times, and he said it was a refueling point and other stuff." Lol. It was apparently, yeah, although as I know, I think it may have another purpose, as you've seen. DJ B2 said here, he said some similar stuff about Ortec. Right, Ortec is a location in the Bahamas, actually, just off the coast of the United States, which is used for naval exercises and experiments and development and things like that. However, Ortec was full of spooks, quote unquote, according to him on many occasions. Oh, really? Full of spooks for which side, DJ B2? What, the CIA or the KGB? According to him on many occasions. Diego Garcia as a black site, possibly not. As a black site transport site, more likely. To transport people to black sites from there. They may well, yeah, I mean, if MH370 was abducted for whatever reason, the people were therefore kidnapped and made prisoner. Diego Garcia is where they would go because that's the nearest US secret base, and it is very secret there. DJ, glad he documented his travels. Lol. Yeah, your dad's, fathers can be and grandfathers can be a real source of all kinds of information. Then again, underground black site base on Diego Garcia could be a possibility. Indeed, there are probably people on lower levels, and there could be basement levels. Yeah. DJ, I have a friend from Mauritius. He's a nice chap. That's good. That's good. DJ B2, David Lammy is a bit challenged in his current role. I can't imagine anyone less qualified, to be honest, DJ. I can't imagine a worse choice for Foreign Secretary. We're having a man representing our country on the world stage who hates our country and hates the indigenous racial population of our country. I mean, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? DJ again says on Diego Garcia, Diego Garcia could be a safe site for crash retrievals due to the high security and not a black site. Yeah. If there is a UFO crash in that area, in the Indian Ocean area, it would go to Diego Garcia. It's a military base that's thousands of miles from anywhere, and basically, no, it's out of sight, out of mind. There aren't even any pesky natives to spoil the secrecy. That's why they kick the people off. DJ, same video. Apart from seeing USOs, my late father did not go into the woo a lot. Indian Ocean was one place and the Caribbean was another. Oh, right. But he saw USOs, did he, DJ? I mean, was he? I get the impression he was in the Navy or something. Did he? Did you say he was in the Navy? He went there. You just said he went there many times. Okay. Same video, DJ. So a probability I am 17 minutes into the vid, Lord. I will shut up. So feel free, Diego. Keep saying what you want. Believe me, you can say anything you like. DJ, can if you can listen to the Lotus Eaters live. I'm in the Rumble chat there most days. Same name to make it easy, lol. DJ, I did see you in the general election overnight coverage. The problem is when Lotus Eaters go live, I'm usually at work. But if I will pop in if I can. DJ, all my thought crimes are under this name. Oh, right, okay. So you haven't been banned yet, DJ. You might well end up being banned though. DJ says, Herr Starmer is a Davos puppet. He is, and he admitted it. He said Davos or Westminster, and people said to him Davos or Westminster. He said Davos. David, people should pass an IQ test to be in a cabinet politician. Oh, David, did you see Sargon of Akkad? He did a video where he's analysed the MPs, and he reckons they have an IQ of 90, an average IQ of 90. So basically, we're ruled by midwits. DJ says agreed, and someone called DJ003 says underneath, a psychological profile assessment would also be helpful. I don't know. The problem is, like, if they took, what was it, that Blackadder thing? Is he qualified to be an MP? He's a violent, bigoted, mindless old fool. He sounds a bit overqualified then. I love that Blackadder episode. Yeah. Oh, DJ, my friend from Mauritius is ex-UK military. Oh, right. So you could probably tell you a story or two. Yeah. DJ says, Ben, stop dissing Mauritius, as it might mess up their destination weddings business. Lol. I don't think I diss Mauritius. I used to have a friend. I had a friend who was from Mauritius, but unfortunately we've fallen out. Yeah, but I did know someone and was quite fond of someone who was from Mauritius. So yeah. But yeah, it's from what I gather, it's quite a nice place to visit, and you can go on holiday there. Yeah, they used to have the dodo there before they were all killed. David Splendid Isolation says the whole island looks like a setting for Far Cry 1. Go and have a look and see what you think. Well, Far Cry 1. What is Far Cry 1? I'm not really into pop culture, you see. So I don't know. People keep making Hollyoaks references and things like that. Far Cry, a game series. All right. Let's have a look at the images. All right. You could say that. It's kind of, yeah. Is it about zombies? Is it a zombie thing? Far Cry New Dawn. It looks to me like Resident Evil, which of course was a film based on a computer game. Right. All right. Okay. Does it look like that to you? I mean, I'd have to play the game to know more, David, and I'm not a big gamer. Donna Wellham says on Secrets of Diego Garcia, afternoon, Ben, just catching up on some links. Haven't been on them for ages. Oh, right. Well, welcome back, Donna. Good to hear from you again. Right. Melvin Sherman says on Diego Garcia, we have a YouTube link here. Let's have a look at it.
6 seconds are enough to tell you the new Oreo Original now has even more cocoa.
Oh, we have a skip button. I thought those had gone out with the arc. Okay.
Hello again.
Oh, it's History Debunked. Yeah, I know this guy. What's he talking about here? Film for Netflix. Oh, they got Blackadders in. They got black people playing characters, cowboys in westerns, which is stupid. I agree, that's stupid. That's really pathetic. I'd say the same if they remade Zulu and had white people playing the Zulus. It's ridiculous. He says here, and also this guy is not 100% wrong, but History Bro. What's he called? History Bro. I quite like him actually, but I want you to do this video simply because he got this weird take about black men in westerns. Okay, there at one point he said, "I grew up with westerns and I never saw a black person. I am like, dude, there's one famous western with the black guy, Blazing Saddles." Okay, you could say that's just a comedy. Yes, it was. Yes, the sheriff's up, our new sheriff, and the joke was that he was black. I mean, I think they couldn't get Richard Pryor to do that role, so they got someone else. He was very good. The guy who played opposite Gene Wilder. Very, very funny film. You couldn't make it today. It's just too politically incorrect. But I thought that's pretty good. But that was a spoof of westerns. It wasn't actually a real western. He carries on. I don't know Django Unchained. If there were a black guy in the French Revolution, I would understand. But in the Wild West, I mean, there were black people in the West. I'm not even a Western guy. Even I found that weird. Yes, he did saw. Yes, there were black cowboys, but that was rare. But still, there were Western movies starring black people. But again, that is mostly fiction. All right, I don't think there were many black people in the Wild West, from what I gather from when I look at historical photos. Therefore, to insert lots of black characters into a Western is ahistorical. So I'd be against it. And I think it's done, as I've said many times, it's done for a specific reason to mess with people's heads. It's cultural Marxism. Neil Peel says on UFO Disclosure 2024, Immaculate Constellation. First on this video, I was hoping you'd cover this, Ben. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Neil. Thanks. Cole Costello says, happy birthday, Ben. Thanks, Cole. I had a really nice birthday. It was a quiet one. Nothing really much to go home about. Same video. The Immaculate Conception is Rome's claim and tradition that Mary was free from original sin at her conception. All right. Well, I mean, she's apparently a virgin, but that's not. I mean, in those days, sex and sin were very much associated, especially when it came to women. There was like a lot of association with sex and sin. I think the point was that she was she was virginal and therefore free and therefore virtuous, because that's the ethics of that time. Tessa, on the same video, Tessa111 says, sorry to hear about your loss of Tony. Thanks, Tessa. Tony Buckingham, who's been in a couple of my videos. I will miss that guy. I will. 69 Phuket says, we can't handle the truth. I want the truth. You can. And oh man, I could just see you when you said that. I could just hear Jack Nicholson in my ears. I think we can handle the truth, 69 Phuket. I think we can. I think we're not kids. We're not children. I'm actually sick and tired of the government treating us like this, treating us as, they have such a low opinion of us. They seem to think we're a combination of like frightened sheep and vulnerable school children. We've got all the courage and all the self-discipline as literally a flock of sheep on a barnyard. I think they literally see us as just one more species of farm animal. They literally do. And it's patronizing and it's disgusting. And this is, I hope that when Trump gets in, I'm going to say when, I'm not going to say if, that attitude changes. Because, of course, it suits the truth embargo that there are bureaucrats who feel in those terms. Neil, happy belated birthday wishes, Ben. Oh, you're welcome, Neil. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Neil. Thank you very much. Sorry to hear about, Neil says on the same video, sorry to hear about Tony passing away. I met him twice, once at your Dreaming Source, and again when I spoke at his East Anglia UFO group. He was great, wasn't he? Yeah. Neil says here, I am no lapsed Christian and very happy that I rejected all efforts to persuade me that an all-forgiving God who can handle anything could not forgive his own people for a honey trap he himself set up. Yes. And thus decided the only way to convince himself he could forgive would be to forge a situation where some guy dies on a cross and so gives his life. But really, he doesn't, because he comes back 3 days later. Oh, he was a jealous God by his own admission. Somehow it wasn't enough to get me to sign on the dotted line. Neil, I'm very surprised that David Splendid Isolation has not replied to you there. I really am. It's 11 days ago and we've had nothing from David Splendid Isolation. Crafty Nihilist said, sorry for your loss, Ben. Oh, thanks, Crafty. Much appreciated. Thank you. Poor old Tony, yeah. Lisa Coates says on Diego Rivera, as a worker in Haringey. Right. As a worker in Haringey. I don't know what that means. Are you in Haringey? Are you a worker in Haringey? Are you saying someone else's? What's the connection between workers in Haringey and Diego Garcia? I don't know. The Audible platform. Oh, Neil is rewatching this old video I made, which I made with Tony. This is one of the ones with Tony in, which I made a couple of years ago. And it's a very good one, but a very fascinating case. And I watched a bit of it actually for old time's sake when I found out that Tony had died. Neil says, just rewatching your trip to East Anglia UFO group, Ben, to remember Tony, who sadly passed away in September 2024. Tony did a great job running the group and did a great job telling us about the Aldeburgh platform. It was difficult for him in the rain and yourself filming it in horrendous conditions till we meet Tony in the great beyond. Thanks. And I put a text comment. Thanks, Neil. The planet will not be the same without him. And Neil said, yes, I think he will be greatly missed. Perhaps he might meet Mrs. Whitelands over the other side and get her to ask about the mysterious platforms she saw. Yes, that's the only way we're going to find out, I think. Ben in the Desert, 2 of 3. All right, I'm right. Here we go. This is 2 of 3. Okay, I'm just opening that one now. I'm keeping these videos open because I know they might be needed. There's that alien sound in the background again at 20600 again. Notice the frequency change. Okay, well, thanks for the accurate timestamp. And Jonathan says here, I can sense ET consciousness coming through here. That's what's affecting the video here. It's coming through in Ben's voice because he's tuned in. It's affecting the frequencies in the audio of the video, 20600. Right, thanks, John. Thanks for the more accurate timestamp. 206. I appreciate that. 20600. Let's just go to screen share. Save me from doing it later. 20600. Here we go.
Oh, Hynek, whatever his surname is. Did them. His brother Joel looks a lot older than Paul. All I'd say is, his brother Joel does special effects in cinemas. I mean, I knew he did. Well, I knew he did special effects, but I didn't know this. But he invented some of the special effects for The Matrix. The movie The Matrix had unique, groundbreaking special effects, and apparently Joel Hynek, whatever his surname is, did them. His brother Joel looks a lot older than Paul. Paul, I'd say, is
all right. There is some
in his 50s.
Jonathan, I can hear some background noise, but it doesn't change at that moment, from what I can tell. I can hear some background noise, like some interference. It could be something to do with the microphone. It could be the air conditioning. It could be something else. Or I'm open to the idea of ET contact. But I can't hear it specifically. Maybe you've got better earphones than I have. Thanks. Right, and here we are. Right, Ben in the Desert, part 2 of 3. And it's Jonathan Trinity Martin again. And he says, you definitely can travel from the future to the past because time is an illusion. Everything exists here and now within our consciousness. What we experience as time is just a frequency shift within our own consciousness, allowing us to experience the illusion of time. Technically, you can't travel to the past because there is no past. And you can't go back to any previous experience as everything is in a constant state of change in the universe. However, we can definitely create the experience of going back in time to say 1950 or whatever, but it will be a new timeline, not the previous experience. The ETs understand that time is an illusion and everything exists here and now within our consciousness, and can use this understanding to send their ships back in time to our time. So that's very interesting, Jonathan, because you have kind of touched on the point I made about how you're right, literal time travel back is impossible because it's going to a place that doesn't exist. There's no place where this past is. Yet there are parallel universes, and it could be that our consciousness generates those, which very closely resemble Earth's own past. I mean, even Coxey and the serious scientists are saying that now. So yeah. So that's a very interesting point. That's very interesting you said there. So that in a sense means that apparent time travelers are actually interdimensional. Yeah. Jonathan says here, I carried on listening and you kind of said the same thing. We can create new parallel universes, which we can experience a parallel version of the past. Yeah, I did bring this up. Yeah, no problem. But don't worry if you comment on something and then later on I say something else. There's no need to go back and delete the comment. I'm not going to have a go at you for that. One way of looking at the Fermi paradox is understanding that believing is seeing, because our beliefs create our reality, not the other way around. Right, that's interesting, because the Fermi paradox is this idea, it's called the Great Silence, the idea that, well, if the aliens are out there, where are they? So what you're saying is that when we believe in aliens, we start seeing them. That's a possibility. It could be that if you don't believe in them, they remain invisible to you or outside your way of thinking. It's like this idea, do you remember this story about how when Columbus first arrived in the New World, the Indians couldn't see his ships. They just saw disturbed areas of water, but they couldn't actually see the ships because large ocean-going vessels were unknown to them. So yeah, it could be that we're like those Indians. You know, we are the carrot. Oh, sorry. Right. And just whoops, get out of the way. Right. That was telling me the hour is up. We could be like those Indians, the Caribs, the native people of the place where he landed, which I think was in Jamaica. We don't, because we don't believe these things exist. We don't see them. Yeah. So anyway, I'll come back for part 3. Sorry, pardon me, part 3, very shortly. Okay, we're back for hour number 3. I've decided to dispense with the alarm and just keep a closer eye on the clock. I don't think I need the alarm. I tend to sort of know when it's going to go off anyway, so I just switch it off. I mean, it's very, very different from when I'm asleep, of course. But let's go back to Jonathan Trinity Martin, who has actually left some very, very good comments here. And again, on the same video, Ben in the Desert Part 2 of 3. Ben is Darth Vader. Is that an audio filter? WTF 21212. Let's have a look. 21212. Okay. 212. Let's have a look. I'll go to share screen. That's this one here. 21212.
By everyone in order. So you start with one, you get to the next, and the next, and the next, and they're all designed to fit together into one. He mentions Hugh Everett III. I mentioned him just before about talking about time travel, and the anthropic principle, which is that it's weird that the universe appears to be just perfectly designed. Or they hate to use the word design.
Oh right, yeah, right. Yeah, that is a problem that emerged, Jonathan. It's worth explaining. I should explain it. That's a problem that emerged as a result of a microphone fault on the OBS on my laptop. It records from two sources, and you get like a bit of a clash because I haven't worked out exactly how to disable one of the sources than the other. I don't know why there are the two sources, because I wasn't using a headphone. It records from both. It records from both the ambient coming through the loudspeakers, and at the same time recording from the mic on the laptop, which results in that kind of sound. I'm sorry about that, but I am comprehensive. That's the main thing. Right, a signal from space. Neil Peel. First again. Now I better watch it, says Neil. Do you mean watch it, mate? Watch it, or watch the video? Rick Horden says, I reckon the Beatles were bald aliens who wore fancy wigs. Well, all of them except Paul. I mean, I think he was human, but then they got rid of him and replaced him with Fall, who probably came from Andromeda. Neil Peel, concerning your secret audio recording. Right, this is when I went into the Department of Physics, yeah. You might want for next time, try using the audio recorder in the tools folder on your phone and stick it in your top pocket, or just hold your phone casually in your hand. All right. Well, I did try to hold the phone in my hand casually, but it's sort of down here. It was sort of hanging down by my side. But yeah, I mean, I should have maybe done. I did do a little test run earlier in the day, and it seemed to work in my home, but it was obviously different ambience. There's probably more echoes and stuff like that there. But I mean, it's all right. You can hear me. That's the main thing. You can just about hear the receptionist as well. But thanks, Neil. Thanks very much. Andrew Munchkin says on Signal from Space, amazing investigative reporting. Oh, thank you very much. Hey, nice one, mate. Yeah, that's right. Nick Broomfield has got nothing on me. And David says on the same video, baby steps to disclosure. I think so. Yeah, I think this could be coming out now because as a reaction to the UFO presence. I mean, in my SETI talk, I'd go into more details about that. Helen Tucker gives me 3 thumbs up. Thanks very much, Helen. Much appreciated. Brett Riverboat says on Signal from Space, SETI or NASA would never divulge anything to us plebs before it's passed through the US military or the industrial complex. The way things are going, Brett, especially with the repeal of the Schumer Amendment for the 2nd year running, I think catastrophic disclosure is the only way forward now. And I say, bring it on. Yeah, bring it on. All right, Jonathan Trinity Martin, he's really enjoying my Ben in the Desert video, which is great. Thanks, Jonathan. He's on part 3 of 3 now, and he says, it was a lot easier for them to carry out the abduction with permission. Seems they screwed us, though. They knew the humans they were dealing with were liars, so the deal was just so they could carry out the hybridization program without being harassed. I don't know. I mean, I think in this case, Jonathan, you're going back into ancient history or prehistoric times, because whenever this began happened long before, so long ago that it hasn't been recorded. There's no start to this phenomenon. Same video, Jonathan says here, I'm fairly certain that there was a deal between the Zetas and the government to give them space to carry out the hybridization program in exchange for technology. The Zetas had zero respect for the government officials and screwed them repeatedly, from what I understand. Yes, sometimes literally, Jonathan, sometimes literally. I'm sure they abducted a few of the officials too. Now, I personally don't think there was any kind of deal. It seems unlikely unless it was some kind of spiritual soul agreement in the ancient past. I accept that may be a possibility, but in terms of modern politics, this world is all there is. Type of looking at it. How could we possibly negotiate such a deal? What do we have to bring to the table that would influence the aliens, the Zetas, their decision, if it is the Zetas, whoever the Zetas are? I mean, Zeta Reticuli, those are the ones, the aliens that took Betty and Barney Hill, who allegedly came from Zeta Reticuli, according to the star map that Betty was given, which is why sometimes they're called Zetas. Whoever they are. I mean, I think there's more than one species doing the abductions. It would be a bit of a Melian dialogue, wouldn't it? I mean, if you watch Sargon of Akkad's video on the Melian dialogue, which is basically where you're trying to negotiate with somebody else and they have all the power in that situation. They don't need our permission to abduct us. They've been doing it for thousands of years without any permission at all. There's nothing we can do to stop them. So we can't say, well, we won't let you, we will stop, we will send our helicopters up to stop your UFOs landing if you don't give us technology. If there was any kind of deal on that part, it was not really a deal. It was simply a gift from the aliens. Jonathan says on 3 of 3, keep following your highest excitement. Thank you very much. Jonathan, I'm so glad you enjoy these. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. All right, Anthony Peake book launch. Oh, this was a great one. I love this. This is great fun. Oh, it's Anthony Peake himself. The great man himself says here. Hi, Anthony. Great. Thanks for commenting. Hi, Ben. I've never seen this before. What a wonderful vlog of your day. I really enjoyed it. Oh, thank you, Anthony. Well, you appear in it, of course. I didn't share it with you. I tend not to. I don't know. I tend not to share things because sometimes people get fed up with me sharing too much stuff. So I didn't send this to you. But I'm glad you've seen it. I'm glad you've seen it. If you want me to share other videos about you to you, let me know and I'll do it. You know, it'd be great to interview you again, anytime, mate. Thank you. It was absolutely, I had a wonderful day. It was 2 days, actually, I was there. And I had a wonderful time in London. It was one of my best visits to London. Meeting up with the lights were low. We had a lovely meal together. And then going to Anthony's book launch, which is great fun. Great fun. Thank you, Anthony, for commenting. Secrets of Diego Garcia. Michael Snow says, interesting stuff. Another good MH370 researcher is Jeff Wise. His channel is really good. Yeah, I have actually subbed to him. I did actually sub to his channel. Now he has I think he does think outside the box, and he actually did appear. He did appear on that Netflix documentary about MH370. So he is an MH370ologist, as the saying goes. And I've watched a couple of these. He's uploading a lot. My goodness me, 2 weeks ago, 34 minutes, 34 minutes, 25 minutes. Now Jeff, although he's an interesting guy, like Florence de Changy is another. They both have it. I think Florence is slightly more credible than Jeff. Jeff believes the Inmarsat data, you see, but he just believes the plane went the other way. It didn't go south; it went north over Central Asia and eventually landed. Its fuel could have taken it as far as southern Russia or Kazakhstan, and it landed there. That's what he believes. He believes it was a Russian plot. The Russians took over they basically hijacked the plane with the sleeping gas, and then they went into the avionics bay and they fiddled with the computer, because it's basically a fly-by-wire aircraft. I haven't seen any convincing evidence of that. I do believe Florence. I mean, Florence actually does say that the plane never left the Gulf of Thailand. Now, if that were the case, then Ashton Forbes' theory would have to be wrong. It wouldn't have to be completely wrong, but because Ashton believes that the aircraft was basically teleported somewhere around the Nicobar Islands, which means it must have gone left, whereas Florence thinks it crashed shortly after it reached the Baitad waypoint. I mean, I've done if you want to, what the hell are you talking about, Ben? Who are these people? What do you mean? Just watch my 2 videos I made. I actually made 3 videos on MH370, and I have a portal. I have a portal. Do you want to see my portal? Take a look at my portal, girls. Yeah, I've got a lovely big portal. Here it is, big round portal. The MH370 portal. There it is. And it's got all these things here for you. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. If you include the secrets of Diego Garcia, the one I've just done, I've made 5 videos about MH370. Yeah, so check that out. Right. Okay. So I mean, I do listen to these people. I listen to Jeff Wise. I listen to Florence. Thing about Florence is Florence has found what looks like wreckage on the seabed with the Tom Nodders. That is the Google Earth people. Yeah. Signal from space. David Smith, series says, I think you went about it the right way. Probably wouldn't have mentioned anything to do with signals from aliens or UFOs to the receptionist, though. I just have expressed an overall interest and would ask to talk to or get some contact information of someone on the project and take it from there. Perhaps asking about any plans for the future publication topics, etc. Yeah, good point, mate. Well, I can do that online. I don't actually have to go there. The reason I went there was to hopefully either speak to one of them, or if not, speak to someone in the department, which I did, and get their kind of reaction to my interest. I didn't actually go there to get information. As I said, I knew exactly what they'd say. They said, we're working on this project. We'll publish something soon. We can't talk about papers that have yet to be reviewed and published. But yeah, I mean, but the idea of getting more information from Breakthrough Listen is a good one. And I should look into it maybe more, talk to some people, say, I live in Oxford, obviously they wouldn't want to meet, say, let's meet up at the King's Arms for a pint. Yeah, obviously they wouldn't do that, but it's something to think about. Yeah. And here we have same video, Patrick Patel. Hello, Patrick. Haven't seen you for ages. He's a good guy, old Patrick. He says, I love it when you investigate extraterrestrial UFO stuffs. Oh, thanks, Patrick. I'm glad you do. There's plenty more of that to come, I promise you. And now we have Rick Horden. Rick Horden, who says here, first on my latest video, QED Conference 2024. Yeah, I couldn't think of a more original title, actually. Neil Peel says, seconded second by 6 minutes. So close, but so very far. The shame is too much. Don't worry, Neil, you get your silver medal, mate. And Crafty Nale says, first in a parallel universe. Exactly, yes. You were the ones coming through the portal, and you were there. Yes, Ashton Forbes' orbs came and circled you and teleported you to Diego Garcia and then to here. Yeah. And the Crafty Nile said, Ben, is that the Moo woman? Well, the Moo woman is Sabine Hossenfelder. Yes, she is. And I said yes, and Crafty says, "You laughing at her is the silliest, is the best thing on the internet." Yeah, that was in my AI video. I watched a video by Sabine where she talks about AI, and she says, "There's a picture of the cow here, and for all I know, it is something that stands in a field and sometimes says moo." And her voice and her accent and her delivery, just to put that together, it was incredibly comical. It really was. Rhiannon Raven says here on QED conference, do all skeptics look like Liberal Democrat MPs? Well done for going, Ben. I think it's the duty of all genuine seekers of truth to listen to all sides of any debate, always seeing and thinking about the world and the universe. The problem is that there are so many people, whatever their views, who cling to their particular convictions and perspectives because it fulfills a particular emotional need in themselves. They are motivated by their own emotional and psychological issues and not necessarily by a pursuit of the truth, whatever that particular truth turns out to be. This is sadly as true for skeptics and woo-wooers as it is for feminists and animal rights activists. I've met too many animal rights activists for whom the primary motive of their actions and beliefs has far more to do with the raging against a domineering mother than it had to do with over-empathizing with monkeys locked in laboratory cages. Maybe they came to identify themselves as those monkeys locked in cages and their domineering mothers as the scientists. And so the cause for which they claim to speak is compromised and somewhat cheapened by this kind of projection of their own personal issues. When we see the die-hard skeptics coming up with all kinds of ridiculously and overcomplicated Clown's Day Off type scenarios to desperately try to explain some interesting or otherwise unexplained phenomena, it's simply their own emotional and psychological needs motivating their desperate attempts to always be able to explain away anything potentially woo-woo that might threaten it. And so the truth will always be unreachable and lost to such people. I do not think there is ever a need to apologize for listening to all sides of any argument. To the contrary, it's the duty of all of us who seek to truly understand. Excellent comment, Rhiannon, exactly. And you know what? Doctor, what's her name? The Australian, the one. What's she like? Nice looking lady, a bit prim and proper. I did a video about her once, but she said I challenged her at the Conway Hall, and I said to her, have you ever you've written entire theses and books about the psychology of the conspiracy theories. Have you ever done a psychology experiment on skeptics? What makes skeptics tick? Have you ever had one of them on your couch? And so this is the point that the skeptics are not good at self-reflection, and indeed, like the feminists and the animal rights activists you mentioned. And I think that's, and I try in my own skeptic talk, I kind of try and go into this a bit and play amateur psychologist, especially with people like Susan Blackmore, who she seems to have a particular personal motive based on experience. Well, at least I know an experience she had as an adult, her dealing with Dr. Carl Sargent, which was horribly traumatic for her, for why she became a skeptic. And that's not unusual. And in fact, Steve Trueblue, if you remember my interviews with Steve Trueblue, or check out his channel, Steve Trueblue on YouTube, he believes it's what he calls Santa Claus trauma. And he believes that the children who grow up to be skeptics are all told that Santa Claus is real when they're like 2 or 3 years old. And when they find out when they start school, when they're aged about 5 or 6, that Santa Claus is not real, they feel terrible betrayal. I mean, it sounds a little bit trivialized, but according to Steve Trueblue, this really hurts them badly. And indeed, things do hurt you. When I was a child, I mean, the things that I laugh at now should send me into such terrible turmoil. I couldn't sleep for a week. It's like, and I'm also, I suppose, I'm aware of my own feelings in that respect, because I am a conspiracy theorist and a paranormal believer and a ufologist, and it could be that my own background, and I've talked about my background quite openly, openly within reason. There are things I don't want to talk about, I don't want to discuss, but I think I've given you and other viewers enough information to maybe wonder why I become the way I am. And you and I see the world quite similarly, so maybe you've had a similar background. Thank you for that long, detailed, very interesting comment. Rick Horden on QED. Thomas Sheridan has made an excellent video on the Manchester Pusher called Blind Spot. The Manchester Pusher, well worth a watch. Right, after I saw your comment, and I actually saw your comment a while ago, and I actually googled the whole thing. I should have done it now. Hang on. Manchester Pusher. Let me just put you on screen share, and here we go. It makes it easier. Makes it more entertaining for you while I'm muttering away. Manchester, not Manchester United. Manchester Pusher. Thomas Sheridan. Who's Thomas Sheridan Smith? I don't know. Right, here we go. Manchester. Here we go. This is from 2015, Manchester Evening News. I actually did read this earlier. I read the Metro article as well. The Manchester Pusher is real, author claims. There's a serial killer stalking the city's canals. Writer Thomas Sheridan is convinced of some 60-plus deaths since 2004. But I'm afraid I won't be able to show you that article because when I open it, it makes the rest of my browser go crazy. I know I should start using my new computer more. I really should. Right. What it basically says is that Thomas was interviewed in 2015 talking about this, that the Manchester Pusher is a real serial killer. And he says it's to do with the 60-plus deaths on the canal by drowning of various people. Now, the police have rubbished that. They don't believe it's real, but Thomas thinks it is. He thinks it's a psychopath haunting the whole area. And it's not just the police who dismiss this. I know some paranormal investigators do. If you remember my talk with someone at the Weird Weekend North who believes that it's just a misunderstanding of statistics. I don't know about that, but I watched the video by Bedtime Stories about it, and it seems quite convincing to me. There's a couple of very disturbing survivors' tales of encounters with the Manchester Pusher. It may even end up being some kind of supernatural entity, like the Men in Black type thing. What's interesting, Thomas believes there is a serial killer targeting homosexual men. Now, this has happened before. There was one called the Gay Slayer. Now, this is this chap here. His name's Colin Ireland. What's happening now? Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, I'm on screen share. This guy, the Gay Slayer. There's a book about him here, see, and there's several. There's the artist impression of him and from the police, the photo fit thing. This guy killed. I don't know how many people he killed. Serial killer, a British serial killer, died 2012. It's called the Gay Slayer because his victims were all homosexuals. That's right. Yeah. How many people did he kill? He killed. Does it say 5 victims? 5 victims. Yeah. He specifically targeted homosexuals. He killed 5 of them. It could be it could be the Manchester Pusher or someone similar. That's what Thomas believes. In which case the police, well, to be honest, what do the police do these days anyway? What good are the police? They arrest you for mean tweets. So why should they chase up a guy who's literally drowning people? Why should they care about someone who's drowning people? You know, well, we've got more important things to do. We have to arrest this person who said that the protests outside the hotel perhaps were not such a bad thing. We have to take them and give them a year in prison for that. Don't talk to me about the bloody police. Don't talk to me about the police. Okay. And so, yeah, I haven't seen the video, but I will, Rick. Thanks. But Crafty Nihilist says, it's good indeed. I wish someone would look into the Bath one. Is there a Bath? Is there a Bath serial killer? I'll contact you privately and ask you more about that. Ravenhill of the Pitch. He's had several names over the years. This time he's called Ravenhill of the Pitchfork 1968. Says, good evening, Ben. I really agree with you about Manchester. I visited there a few times and the people really do look belligerent now. You're braver than me because I couldn't wait to get out. Oh, thanks. Well, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. It is. I do get the feeling. I mean, despite the fact what I said about Charlie Veitch actually stands, I do believe I do believe that Charlie goes around looking for trouble and deliberately generating trouble in order for the sake of his videos. However, I did find the place was unnerving. The people there did. I mean, no one was rude to me. Everyone was. People either ignore me or they're polite. But I did get fighting vibes off those people. A lot of them. You get a lot of people. They wear these big black thick jackets, like these winter jackets with hoods up. That seems to be kind of Manchester fashion. And they sort of walk along the streets like they're not going to get out your way. They just walk towards you. Like they're not going to try and avoid you. Things like that. Cole Costello says on QED, always a pleasure to join you on your weekends away, Ben. Oh, thanks, Cole. That's much appreciated. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I don't believe it. It can't be. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please. We have the return after a long, much belated, lamented absence. Steve Mumbling. He's back. I can't believe it. He's broken his long silence. Steve, would you believe me if I told you that I'd missed you? Would you believe me if I told you that? I know a lot of viewers won't, but will you believe me? Anyway, he's put a long comment, one of his long comment here on a signal from space. You state, oh, I miss doing this voice. You state that the waterfall display you show at 4517 is showing the BLC1 signal. It doesn't. You can clearly see in the top left of the image, FRB 2020 1020A. It's not the BLC1, it's a fast radio burst. FRB. Not only does it not come from Proxima b, it does not even originate in the Milky Way galaxy. Here's the truth about BLC1. All right. I think I know what this video is going to be, but I'll click it in a minute. Sophia Sheikh P.H. and D. worked on the BLC1 signal analysis. In this video, you can hear her explain the signal analysis. They ran the numbers every which way and couldn't get the frequency shift on BLC1 to match the Doppler shifted signal from Proxima b. As I've pointed out in the past, you and Ward, people who have zero understanding of a subject, shouldn't be giving opinions on it. That also goes for Simon Hogwash. He puts out technically inaccurate science fiction rubbish with clickbaity titles for Google ad money. His goat cheese production must be down. Don't tell me, Steve. Don't tell me. What he says is a steaming pile. A steaming pile. All right. Let's have a look here. It's another 17-minute video. All right.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
I didn't. Okay, I haven't seen this one, but I have seen this guy before. I recognise him. I've seen him. I'm subscribed to the SETI Institute. All right. Okay. So I'll have a watch of that, Steve. I will have a watch of that. Can you see it, guys? All right. I'll show it to you. Here we go. It's here. Where is it? Is it this one? Sorry, where was it? This one, yeah. Breakthrough listening. Here we go. Alien technology or not? 17-minute video. All right. I don't have time to go into that in detail now, Steve, but I do recognise that chap. I've not seen that video. I have watched John Godier's video though, and indeed I've watched Simon Hogwash. That's Simon Holland, isn't it? Yeah. Have you watched Simon's review of Godier's video? Right, because he disagrees with this, and indeed, I will watch the video you sent me, and I'll rewatch Simon's video and see if it's true. Because Simon said that these people, and Sabine did that. Sabine Hossenfelder also made a video about this, and none of them take into account the new data from the EU, according to Simon Holland. So let me know. I mean, if you're right, you're right. I mean, I'll admit it. And I appreciate your input. I mean, I didn't know that wasn't BLC1. I thought that was. I mean, I didn't actually realise there is a waterfall graph of BLC1 somewhere, but that wasn't it, obviously. Okay, because I actually Googled it and picked out the first image I could find with that title. I didn't actually check to see if it was the one that Simon put on his video. But you know, I don't know what you say that that the drift rate is different from the Doppler shift on Proxima B, so the signal couldn't be the same. But hang on, but Simon actually played it, and it's not just Simon. Other people have played it, and it makes a noise. Let me just see if I can find it. Okay, guys, I found it. Here it is. Have a listen to this. Signal.
First of all, I have to reach out and say thank you.
Blimey. Is that really a signal from an extraterrestrial civilization, or an electronic, not just a signal trying to contact us, but just noise from an extraterrestrial civilization? Is it possible? Isn't it strange? Isn't it ironic and weird that they actually sound like the clangers? Woo, 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 woo. Actually sounds like the clangers, doesn't it? Can you believe that? Oh, wow. That's really quite something. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, Steve, thanks for that comment. I really do. I hope you'll leave more comments. I really do hope you will. QED conference. David says, David Splendid Isolation, not Smith. Don't get those two mixed up. Thanks for taking one for the team. Anytime, mate. Anytime. And David says here, all right, this is the scene. I know what he's talking about here. This is the scene where I'm down on the canal, and this guy, I see a guy coming from my left from the other entrance, not the Cottages Cove entrance, the other entrance. He sees me standing there, and he turns around and walks back, and he says, "Could he have thought you might be the pusher?" Could be. Who knows? It could be. It could be. I hope not, because I'm not. I mean, if so, then he believes in the pusher. But who knows? And finally, QED conference. Noel Murphy says climate change is real. Right. Well, Noah, I agree climate change is real. This was on QED conference as well. I agree climate change is real. Climates do change. The question is, I'm not questioning that climate's change. I'm questioning, is it being caused by human activity, for which the only solution is a tyrannical world government? That's my only question. All right, guys. Anyway, I'm just going to do a quick refresh to see if there's any new comments that have come about in that time. So I'll just go here. Let's just do a quick refresh and see what I've got. Because sometimes people leave comments. Because I've come to the end of YouTube. As I explained, I'm doing an alt tech. Because I'm doing the alt tech videos as an alt tech exclusive. Here we go. Let's have a look. Anything on here? Anything left on any of my videos? There's comments on other videos, but not mine, I don't think. No. So yeah, that's it. So anyway, for those of you who only want to watch YouTube and not interested in what I have to say about the alt tech videos, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate that. Obviously, if it wasn't for the comments that you left, there wouldn't be a comments reply video. So you essentially make these videos with me, and I'm very, very always grateful for you for that. Please do keep the comments coming. They're always great. I will reply to all the ones, apart from the trolls. I will always reply to comments, no matter how critical they are, as I have done today. How much you disagree with me, you'll get a prompt, as prompt as possible, detailed as possible, and as polite as possible reply. So thank you very much. Now, for those of you who do want to listen more or do want to watch more, there is a second part. There's another part of this video coming up, which is the alt tech exclusive segment of my comments reply videos. At the end of those alt tech exclusives, I'll also go back and double check YouTube. All right, so so then in case someone posts some more comments on there. So if you want to know the kind of comments that have been posted while this video was in production, then you'll need to watch the alt tech exclusive as well. All right. But in the meantime, I want to say a big thank you to you all. And there's more videos coming soon. I'm going to cover the election, the US election coming up, and maybe some other things as well. I haven't quite decided yet. No HPANWO radio at the moment, because unfortunately I'm currently homeless when it comes to HPANWO radio. But I'm going to find a new home very soon for that particular media. Thank you for watching HPANWO TV. See you over on BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble very soon, I hope. Hospital porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.
Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids, psyops, saucers and black triangles, HPANWO.